Welcome to councillors, members of the public and staff, present in person, joining us online and watching via YouTube this evening. I declare this meeting of Bayside Council open at 7:04 p.m. Councillors and those present in the chamber are reminded to conduct themselves in a polite and professional manner, keep communication factual and use appropriate language and tone. Council meetings are live streamed and recorded via YouTube. Please therefore treat everyone with dignity, respect, and do not use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Defamation laws do apply to addresses in the public forum. Members of the public that have registered to speak in person will be called forward during the public forum. Please proceed to the lectern. Please note speakers will not be able to present material online as part of their speaking time or share their screen. Councillors are reminded of obligations to conduct yourselves in a professional and respectful manner under the obligations of Council's Code of Meeting Practice in the interest of good governance and to adhere to meeting etiquette. All present are reminded that the YouTube video recording is an official record of Council and will be accessible via YouTube in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice. No other recordings are permitted, and all present should ensure that there are no video recordings, audio recordings or photographs taken. In case of emergency, please follow the instructions of the Council staff, exit via the Town Hall foyer and proceed to the evacuation point. I'd like to just begin this meeting by acknowledging the Bidjigal clan, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and work, and also acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. On behalf of Bayside Council, I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I now invite Father Jakob Barakat from St Mary MacKillop Parish, Rockdale City, to open our meeting in prayer.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray. Almighty, ever-living God, we come to you today asking your guidance, your wisdom, knowledge, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in a meaningful discussion. Allow us to listen and be attentive to each other. Fill us with your grace and wisdom as we make decisions. And help us and remind us that whatever we do, whatever we discuss, we do it for the glory of God and for all humanity. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. I've received no condolences this evening. Does any councillor have any condolences to put forward? Thank you, councillors. We do have a number of certificates to present this evening. First of all, we have a large number of certificates for the members of our Youth Advisory Group. Though councillors would, of course, be familiar with the work of the Youth Advisory Group, particularly seeing the fantastic report they've just produced. Over the past 2 years, Youth Advisory Group members have played a key role in representing young people at both local and state levels. Their advocacy has influenced decisions on local youth spaces, recreation as well as service delivery, while also advising on state policies regarding mental health, social cohesion and youth engagement. A key part of their work has been planning and participating in our council's Youth Week, ensuring young people are actively involved in events and initiatives that reflect their interests and needs. On behalf of Council, we would like to thank each member for their passion, leadership and voice in representing their peers in our community. The following members of the Youth Advisory Group are to be awarded, I think all of which are here tonight. Daniel, Darcy, Dylan, Emily, Emma, Iad, Fabian, Frank, Jade, Joanna, Olivia and Rockio. Apologies if any of those are incorrectly pronounced. I'd like to invite everyone to please come forward and accept your certificates of appreciation from Council, and then perhaps we can all get together for a group photo. Might be an order in this year.
My name's Daniel.
Daniel? Thank you.
See.
Darcy? Thank you. Thank you. Emily? You? Emma? Frank. Jade. Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Olivia. Sarah. Thank you. I just wanted to.
Yeah, we all need to fit in. There's all ones back, there's some others back here.
Yeah, we've got a uncomfortably
Present
close.
or you can go one of them. Okay, ready?
Well
done, everyone.
We're going to be
You can manage.
We're going to be regretting this for a very long time. Is it the youth strategy?
Yes.
Thank you all. If anybody present, please check out the youth strategy. It's a really amazing piece of work, and I would really commend all the members of the Youth Advisory Committee for the work they've put into that. Thank you. Next, it's my pleasure to acknowledge and present a certificate of community recognition to Mahesh Prasai, fondly known to many in the Rockdale community as Max Babu. Since arriving in Australia in 2008 as an international student from Nepal, Max has become a respected leader in the Nepalese Australian and the Bayside communities more broadly. He's admired for his generosity, dedication and tireless efforts in bringing people together. Through his involvement with Lukla TV and his not-for-profit organisation Vision for Motivation, Max has supported thousands of international students and new migrants, helping them find work, secure housing and feel a sense of belonging in Australia. Max is also a successful businessman. His supermarket, Country Fresh Rockdale, has become a real cultural hub in the King Street Mall, serving our multicultural community as well as our broader community and standing as a testament to his determination, resilience and entrepreneurship. His service has been recognised at the state level and he continues to inspire through his work in business, the arts and his ongoing support of community initiatives, including helping Bayside Council with our upcoming Diwali celebrations. So thank you very much for that, Max, on behalf of Bayside Council. On behalf of all of us here at Council, I congratulate Max on his remarkable achievements and thank him for his leadership and commitment to building a stronger, more inclusive community. I'd like to invite Max to please come forward and accept this certificate from Council and invite all councillors to come up and join us for a photo if you'd like. Thank you again, Max, for all the work you do for our community. That was just a very brief summary. There's far more than that. The work you've done here is truly incredible. Moving to apologies, leave of absence and attendance via audio-visual link.
Mr Mayor, I just wanted to comment on it.
Yep, Councillor Saranovsky, thank you.
Well, good. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for accepting my nomination for a community certificate to an extraordinary member of our local community. Mr Mahesh Prasai, or many of us know him as Max. Max is no stranger to this chamber. His name, his story and his impact has resonated far beyond the walls of Rockdale. Recently, both the Premier of New South Wales, Chris Minns, and Minister Steve Camper acknowledged Max's incredible journey and contributions in the New South Wales Parliament Hansard. And just last October, his achievements were featured prominently on the front page of St George and Sutherland Shire Leader with the headline that says, "Max is an Aussie success story." Max's journey began in 2008 when he arrived in Australia from Nepal as an international student with just $135 in his pocket and a heart full of hope. Like many migrants who took on a wide range of jobs, cleaner, kitchen hand, delivery driver, and even a prison support officer, doing whatever it takes to make ends meet. In 2015, Max took a bold step. He invested his hard-earned savings to establish Country Fresh Rockdale, a grocery store that is now far more than just a place to shop. It is a vibrant community hub, celebrated for its multicultural offerings, resilience and accessibility. In fact, it was only last year that Premier Minns and Minister Camper officially reopened the new refurbished supermarket, praising it as a testament to determination and resilience. But Max's story doesn't stop at business success either. What truly sets him apart is his generosity of spirit and commitment to giving back. He has founded Vision for Motivation, a not-for-profit that supports international students and new migrants, a cause close to his heart. He also serves as the Mayor mentioned CEO of Lukla TV Australia, a media platform amplifying the voice of Australian Nepalese community with around 150,000 followers. Max has created employment opportunities for over 50 people, supported multicultural groups in St George, and continues to serve as an inspiration to all, especially to those who come to this country with nothing but dreams and the will to work hard. Considering the times we live in, it is extremely rare to find people encouraging their own customers to try out local businesses in Rockdale of different cultures and ethnicities. Supporting other local businesses with no strings attached or costs involved. That comes from the heart, as these type of people is what our community keeps growing and flowing from. Mr Mayor, I'm sure my fellow councillors will be familiar with the positive legacy Max has created and continues to build in Rockdale. His story is a reflection of the best of our community. Resilience, inclusivity, hard work, and above all, compassion. All it takes is to come down, visit the shop, and see a local small business that lives and breathes multiculturalism. I had the opportunity to walk through the shop myself, and immediately it felt like home. Because my very own culture placed along the shelves of the aisles, seeing such easy accessibility and meeting the vast diverse community we live in one location is incredible, as it supports diversity and shows that we can express, celebrate and live within a multicultural society. So on behalf of the Council, the people of Ward 3, especially as the local Ward 3 councillor, it gives me immense pleasure to formally recognise and thank Mahesh Max Prasai for his outstanding contributions. This community certificate is a small gesture compared to the impact he has made, but is one that is deeply deserved. Thank you, Max, for putting the community first and wearing your heart on your sleeve. Congratulations. Thank you. Mr Mayor, is it okay if
Thank you.
Mr Prasai has a word to say?
Councillor Aronofsky. Mr Prasai, would you like to say a few words? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mayors, councillors on all the logistics. I would like to acknowledge myself to this country. Actually, I don't have any word to say. Everything's, I'm a bit nervous, bit humble. I can't even easily take my word out. I'm sorry, my English is my second language. Whatever Chris said is, I think it's true. That's why I'm getting everything, whatever I'm achieved to, I'm getting to. So thank you, Chris, and thank you all to support me, to give me this award, it's encouraged me a lot, and this Bayside Council give me a lot, actually. Give me your cultures, give me your friends, give me your networks, and give pretty much everything. So I'm proud to be Bayside Council residents and local business supporters, local community supporters. Actually, I want to prove myself as a community worker, not as a business person. Business anyone can do, but community is very few people, so I like to involve more community in this society. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Max, and congratulations once again. We've received 2 apologies tonight from Councillor Dusku and Councillor Poulos. There are no other apologies. I've removed into seconder. Moved Councillor Awada, seconded Councillor Boudeleau. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Leave of absences. Councillor Kassim has requested a leave of absence from the period 24 September to 8 October 2025, inclusive for all council and committee meetings held during that period. And Councillor Dusku has requested a leave of absence for the period 3 September to 24 September, inclusive for all council and committee meetings held during that period. Do I have a mover and a seconder to accept the leave of absence? Move Councillor Bretterhoff, second Councillor Strong. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. I don't believe there are any councillors attending via audio-visual link tonight. Disclosures of interest. Does any councillor wish to make any disclosure of interest? Yes. Councillor Boudeleau.
In relation to CPE 25.024, the Mascot Master Plan, disclosing a significant security interest, given I own 2 properties in that zone. So declaring that, and obviously happy to step out for any vote on that particular matter. Thank you.
Councillors, anything further? Councillor Douglas.
I need to make a non-significant, non-pecuniary conflict of interest declaration. I'll be staying in the chamber for discussion for 8.2, the mayoral minute, council's participation in the Ausgrid pilot program, because through my profession I am advocating for urban renewable energy zones.
Councillor Awada.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Item 13.14, less than significant non-pecuniary interest on the basis that my family own and run a childcare centre. Thank you.
Councillors, anything further? Councillor Kassim.
Thank you. I would also like to say that I have a non-pecuniary, non-significant conflict of interest or interest with regard to the electrical, the EV power charges, as I now have a new car, which is electric vehicle, and also with regard to the Youth Council, just because, as I've previously advised, my son is an outgoing member.
Councillors, anything further? We have some disclosures carrying over from committees. So Councillor Curry, I'll repeat this in relation to CP 25.036 for the record.
Yeah, thank you. Non-significant, non-pecuniary in my role as Vice President of SS Rock.
And I have in relation to item CP 25.038, Council Expenses and Facilities Policy Review. I will note the minutes of the committee meeting are wrong. It should be a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest, but nevertheless I'll leave the chamber for that. If that can be corrected, please. Anything further, councillors? Minutes of the previous meeting. Can I ask 2 councillors who were present at the meeting to move and second the confirmation of the minutes? Move Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Morrissey. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Moving to mayoral minutes. So first off, just acknowledging our council's development assessment performance for 24-25. This has obviously become a major issue as the state, across the state and across local government. We attempt to address the housing crisis. As you'd be aware, league tables have been a big thing, particularly in the last year. We started out this journey with an average assessment time frame of 182 days for the 23-24 financial year, and we were given a target to achieve an 115-day average for the 24-25 financial year. After recording an average time of 192 days for the first month of the performance measurement period, the development services team finished the year with an average determination time of 119 days. It's a reduction of 79 days, or 73 days, or a 38% reduction time in the process. It's a really monumental feat from all of those council staff, and they really should be commended. And I think they're on track to not just meet but exceed the government's expectations going forward. So that's a massive win for housing in our community. It's a massive win for people just trying to do a renovation on their house. So thank you to Peter and the team. I hope we all appreciate the huge amount of work they've had to do to get there. Councillors, anything further? Councillor Barlow.
Yeah, I congratulate the development team on achieving this, but if the state government, whoever counts the figures, would do it correctly from the beginning, no one would have the figures we've got. Because I've got the one, I use the example of somebody in Arncliffe rang me, someone I know, and said, this DA is not even in our area, didn't even change the name. So apparently every time the applicant makes a mistake, we used to have stop the clock. That doesn't count. So every time there's a mistake, they write to the applicants, they say, can you do this? That's all included, and I think that shouldn't be included because it's not the council's fault. It'd be interesting to see what the figures, the days would be if we had that taken out at some stage, because we would end up with something that's pretty amazing. And I think every council would be the same, because we're suffering because of applicants that don't do the right thing, don't even actually put the plans in correctly, and then hopefully you'll change them. But anyway, so I'm just saying congratulations to the staff for what they've done, but there's still a lack of reporting the correct figures.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Anything further? No. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. It's the final mayoral minute, acknowledging council's participation in the Ausgrid pilot program, the Community Power Network pilot project. Just acknowledging that we've been selected as one of Ausgrid's pilot areas for their new localised battery program, the Community Power Network program. This is really a big win for local residents in the Mascot precinct. This program is really amazing and a demonstration of just how powerful localised battery systems are. Ausgrid are sharing this is no cost to residents, are sharing the savings from this project, and they'll be about $150 to $200 per customer within the area over a 5-year period, per annum over a 5-year period. It's also going to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 420,000 tonnes. That's like taking 8,300 cars off the road. If successful, the trial will lead to increased solar network capacity, improved network utilisation, reduced emissions, and customers in the pilot area will experience lower costs overall. It could also lead to the creation of a local market for surplus solar, rewarding investment on untapped roofs, especially in commercial precincts. With something that's at no cost to residents because it's in fact so effectively profitable, this is a real win for our community, and it's great that we've been selected. Councillors, anything further? All right, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. I'll now proceed to deal with the remainder of the business on the paper by exception. Councillors, other than the public forum items that were pulled out, the items where a division is required for planning matters, the notice of motion, and items where councillors have a pecuniary and or significant interest, which will be dealt with individually. Councillors, is there any other items you wish to pull out and deal with individually? Councillor Curry.
11.4,
Yeah, we need to do that anyway.
Yep.
Councillor Morrissey?
No.
Councillor Bezic? No. Councillor Boudleau? No. Councillor Strong?
13.6.
11.6. It's there's a speaker in the public forum. It's a response to a question. It's just noted. Anything further, Councillor Strong? No. Councillor Kassim? No. Councillor Brederhoft? No. Councillor Savranovsky? Councillor Naji?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. 11.1, 11.2, I guess 11.7, there's a speaker.
There's a speaker.
So that will be
Councillor.
pulled out
Yep.
anyway, okay, and just a couple of, on CWA 25.027,
Yep.
okay, and 12.4, number 7, CP 25035.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. Councillor Wada?
11.5.
Councillor Barlow?
CS 25.024
Yep.
and CP 25.038.
Yep. Councillor Douglas.
Could I please have BTC 25.150?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please, Councillor Douglas?
BTC, Bayside Traffic Committee, 25.150.
Yep. Councillor Kasim.
Yeah, no, sorry, I can't find the number. It is the one which reports and everything that councillors done on reports.
The reports on notice of motion. Councillor Lada pulled that one out. Perfect. Thank you, councillors. All other items will be dealt with by one resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Move Councillor Morrissey, second Councillor Boudeleil. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. We now move to the public forum. Members of the public who have applied to speak at the meeting are now invited to address the meeting. Speakers are reminded that if matters has been raised by a previous speaker, there's no need to raise the matter during your address. Please only speak on additional matters. Speakers have 3 minutes each to address the council. A warning bell will sound when only 1 minute of speaking time remains. Speakers who are joining the meeting, I'm not sure if I think we've got a couple via MS Teams, are reminded to have your video off and microphone muted until invited to speak. You'll be removed from Teams once the item is concluded. If you registered a written submission prior to the meeting, please note that these have been provided to councillors. Speakers are reminded to keep communication factual, polite and professional and use appropriate language and tone. Don't use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Obviously, defamation laws do apply to remarks in the public forum. We have 10 speakers tonight. Beginning with item 11.6, Code of Conduct for Users of Council's Community Facilities. I'd like to call Miss Leola Lax. It says Leola, I think that might be Leona. An interested resident who's joining us via Teams, I believe.
Hello?
Hello, Miss Lax.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak. I just wanted to be supportive of having a code of conduct, but I'm just seeking that the code of conduct will be related to enforcement of the use of council facilities and how that enforcement will be aligned to generally good standards of behaviour. But in general, I'm supportive of having a code of conduct as a requirement, but I just want to make sure that it's not just a lip service piece. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lax. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Douglas. Councillors, any discussion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just in response to Ms Lax, we note that the report says that following a draft code of conduct for use, it will then be considered by council and then go out for community consultation. So there'll be an opportunity for community to provide feedback at that point.
Councillor Curry. Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Brederhoft.
I just wanted to say and commend council on the work they're doing. I think this is a good way forward, and I'm looking forward to the policy.
Thank you, Councillor Brederhoft. Anything further? Councillor Strong.
Yeah, I think the clubs, we should get a community liaison officer to talk to local community and make sure that these sporting events are sustainable, and we're sort of avoiding any of the consequences that have led to some flare-ups that have happened. So we need a strong code of conduct that has teeth and that people can adhere to, and make sure that incidents are reported and not hidden behind closed doors. So thanks.
Councillor Strong. Councillors, nothing further. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Thank you, Ms Lax. The item was carried as on the business paper. Item 11.7, also joined by Ms Lax speaking against the officer's recommendation. Ms Lax,
Yep.
Gardiner Park lighting.
Yep. In terms of Gardiner Park lighting, I don't remember that this was part of the DA at all, and I'm confused how it can also be considered without having the adequate requirements for working out how that will affect the traffic and the parking issues around the park. And of course, the main issue being light pollution to residents' homes, where if you're increasing the lighting facilities at such a height that covers such a distance, it will be a problem for people who are along Gardner Avenue and along Willow Creek Road. So I'm just seeking some kind of consultation before such a thing is approved when it hasn't had any consultation to bring this about.
Thank you, Ms Lax. I think the motion actually just is receiving and noting information, subject to councillors. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Strong, seconded Councillor Morrissey. Councillors, any discussion? Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just in the report in response to the notice of motion, and I'll just be brief, it confirms that lighting at the park currently meets relevant Australian standard for sporting use. Council officers note that club using the park have not reported issues with the existing light levels. One of the questions there, I thought the speakers of the club did report unsafety and some certain issues in the public forum. Also, did the council or whoever did this report did speak to the Banksia Tigers, the club? And then it says in the report, any future upgrades could be considered in the context of council broader sports field strategy and funding. At this stage, no immediate works are recommended, but the matter will continue to be monitored and assessed against demand, funding availability. So in short, council has checked the Gardner Park lights. According to the report, they meet the required standards. No current problems have been identified by users, and while upgrades could be considered in the future, none are planned right now. So I've just got a few questions regarding the report, but before I do that, I want to assure the speaker, the public speaker, the resident, that from day one, or from the notice of motion, that it's not going to increase the use by having an upgrade to the lighting, and in a matter of fact, it's going to improve the impact. When you put the lights horizontal, it will improve the impact on the adjoining residents, and in the report, it says that there will be an impact. So my questions here are, Mr Mayor, is how did we conduct the study? When was it conducted? That's two questions. And where did they get these costings from? Because it seems it's very, very inflated. And I'm not going to suggest that it's inflated on purpose to make it hard to deal with unless you get a lot of funding, because we will talk about Scarborough Park, which I pulled that out. You're having two fields, which is Tanner Reserve and Scarborough Park East. Okay, we got funding for it, but the whole total is around the 369, maybe it says an additional 25k and 200,000. So how could two parks, we're upgrading the lighting or installing lighting there in Scarborough East and Tanner Reserve, but yet Banksia, Gardner Park in Banksia, to upgrade to 100 lux is 350,000, and to upgrade to 200 lux, it's 900,000. It's just beyond me. I don't understand it. And that's only one park. It's got existing poles. All we need to do is replace the lux, the lighting. So I would like some answers to these before I speak a little bit further on that.
General Manager. Mr Barber. Getting a shaken head.
That report was done by City Projects, so I'm not familiar with the methodology.
Someone here who can speak.
By your department, Mr Barber, no? Am I wrong or I'm think?
I think we've got.
The manager of city projects.
I think we've got the manager of city projects online. If you could please respond.
Is she on silent? She's on mute.
Missing Mariam.
No, she's on mute. She needs to be demuted.
No.
Could you ask her to unmute?
Maybe just give her a ring. Do you want to, while we get the manager,
Mr. Mayor, it seems like
Councillor Naji, you could continue.
this council is a bit lost, sorry, with respect. So maybe if we can defer this till we get the proper answers, because I can assure you, I spoke to experts in lighting and they've given me a totally different figures. Okay, I'm just worried that because of the recent media that we're trying to punish more of these young kids. The young kids, it's not their faults. Under 15, under 16, under 8, under 9, they're kids. And it is unsafe, Mr. Mayor. I'm not an expert, but by all means, don't take my testimony but I tell you what, I went there during training and it was insufficient lighting. And I don't want any councillor around this table to think I'm only representing a certain group or a certain park. Believe me, there are a lot more notice of motions coming to look after all playgrounds all around the LGA, and even including not just soccer or football, but rugby league and others. We're here to look after our children, our youth. So please, if I get your support, I'm not throwing a spanner in the woodwork. Let's defer it so we can get the proper answers, the proper actions, and explain a bit more. How did we conclude? How did we come to this conclusion? That it meets Australian standard. I am bewildered and flabbergasted, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Casey used to say it on football. I am flabbergasted, and I am now. How did we conduct this study?
So I think Ms. Farrell can respond to your. Hang on, Councillor Naji. I think Ms. Farrell can respond to your questions.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, are you able to hear me?
Yep.
The tender for the Scarborough Park lights is actually for 50 lux, so those parks are for training only lights. The Gardner Park is an estimate. If we were to do a 100 lux, it would require us to look at the structural members of the actual poles that are in place. But if we go to 200 lux at Gardner Park, that does require all new poles and all new fittings. The existing fittings will not, we can't just change the lights. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you for clarifying. What I get from the response is we are estimating. No professional or expert in that field has given us a report or the real costing. All I'm asking my colleagues, let's defer it to have a briefing and put everything on the table. There's no problem. Whether we get it or we don't, I think we owe this community, the whole community and our youth. And I would like it deferred, if I can put an amendment. And for the voting, I would like anyway, if I could put it up for deferring, then I would like a division, Mr. Mayor. That's what I was trying to get
Councillor
at.
Morrissey.
I was just going to suggest, Councillor Naji, maybe you'd wish to move the motion that we just get a report submitted to the next committee for discussion at committee, which is effectively deferring it, but at least we're going to get some more answers to the questions that you're posing.
You're suggesting that we defer it to a committee? Yeah, that's no problem. Defer it
Not a briefing, let's get a report to the committee.
Yes, please,
Get
yes.
a report to the next
That's right,
available
and get
committee.
more precise and so
It'll
on.
go to committee and then come back to council.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think the motion is now to refer this to a committee. Sorry, Councillor Douglas.
I just had a question through the chair, but could that report also give us some assessment on how the different parks' needs are met? Because if we're hearing that Scarborough Park is getting new lighting at 50 lux and this park is being asked to upgrade beyond that, I'd like to know what the comparisons are between the different facilities that council operates and how we make these decisions. So is it possible in that committee assessment to do some comparatives between the different sporting facilities that we have in terms of the lux?
General Manager.
Through the chair, what we would be able to provide in that very short space of time is an inventory of what exists at each of the parks and what lux is provided there currently. We can certainly do that.
I mean, that's a very good point by Councillor Douglas, about 50 and 100. But correct me if I'm wrong, I thought 100 is the safe for training.
No, 50
Is it?
is the
Is that
standard for
confirmed?
training.
Yeah, okay. So we'd like to know if it is, then in that case, maybe we could put in for 50 instead of 100. Thank you.
I think Gardner Park already has 50 lux lights. That's what they've got at the moment.
Can I just make a
Councillor
comment
Barlow.
that the season's finishing, so there is time, not forcing the council to just do something like that. I think the season's finishing. I know I've heard on the radio the rugby league's finishing in whatever time it is. We won't talk about some teams, but so I think it's unfair to say to the we need it next week or the week after when I think they've only got a couple of games left. So I'd prefer it that the council isn't forced into doing reports so quickly when the season's... It'd be different if the season was beginning, but it's not. So I would say a next available committee, but it could be not next committee, could be a month away or 2 months away.
So I think effectively what we'd be referring to the committee is the report that's already been prepared, so for discussion. So I don't think that's a major barrier. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour of a report being presented to the next, or this report rather being presented to the next City Works and Assets Committee? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Is there, councillors, any objections? Councillor Curry.
We're deferring it.
Yeah. Four. Do you want to just hands up? It's
Four.
all in favour? Yeah. Carried you. Sorry, Councillor Boudelay. Yeah. Carried unanimously. There you go. Moving to the next motion, item 13.9, notice of motion responding to the crisis in Gaza. Speaking first for the motion, Mr. Danny Josifovski, interested resident. Mr. Josifovski.
Dear Mr. Mayor, councillors, General Manager, council officers and the members of the public. I am here today as a resident of Bayside. I wish to speak on the notice of motion responding to the crisis in Gaza submitted by Councillor Chris Cervanovsky. I am speaking as a concerned resident. I am here to support the motion submitted by Councillor Cervanovsky. The planting of an olive tree symbolises peace. It is a small but meaningful gesture, a starting point for healing a community that has been affected by global events. We cannot ignore the losses of so many young and innocent lives, both Palestinian and Israeli. This conflict does not discriminate in its destruction, but it has caused deep division within our local community. We must work together, unity and understanding. Recently, the Prime Minister recognised the State of Palestine, whilst also addressing the harmful influence of foreign actors attempting to divide Australian communities. This shows that leadership at all levels, including local government, has a role to play in promoting peace, inclusion and mutual respect. Supporting this motion is a step forward, acknowledging pain, showing solidarity, as well as fostering peace within our own community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr Josefovski. Next, we have Mr Shane Youssef, interested resident, speaking in favour of the motion. Thank you, Mr Youssef.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, General Manager. As a resident of this community, I want to begin by sincerely thanking our Mayor, General Manager and all of you councillors for your leadership during these difficult times. Your efforts to keep our community united, especially when global events are affecting us so deeply here at home, truly matter. Thank you for creating space where people can be heard, where difficult issues can be discussed with care and respect. I'm here tonight because, like many others in our community, I felt a growing sense of sadness and helplessness watching the terrible suffering in Gaza since October last year. The grief, the destruction, the loss of life, it's heartbreaking. And for many people in our community, this isn't just something happening far away. It's deeply personal. It affects their families, their heritage, and their sense of identity. As a proud Australian, I believe it's important that we stand with our neighbours during this time of pain and show compassion for those whose lives are being touched by this tragedy. The motion brought forward by Councillor Saranovsky offers us a way to acknowledge the pain in a peaceful and symbolic way. Planting an olive tree may seem like a small gesture, but it's powerful. It's a symbol of peace, of resilience, of healing, and it gives people here a way to express their hope for a better future. As someone who lives here, I don't expect our local council to solve global conflicts, but I do believe our local government has a role in reflecting the values of the people who live in this community. And many of us value peace, justice, and the importance of being seen and heard during this painful time. This tree will also mark Australia's upcoming recognition of the Palestinian state, something many of us see as an important step toward a fair and peaceful resolution in the Middle East. It's a moment worth acknowledging locally with a gesture that invites unity rather than division. So, councillors, I ask you to please support this motion, not as a political act, but as a human one. And let this be a message that our community cares, that we stand for peace, that we honour the shared hope for a world where all people, no matter where they're from, can live safely and with dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Youssef. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Saranovsky, seconded Councillor Kassim. Councillor Saranovsky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just can I make a change to where it says Gaza to include Middle East? After reflecting on it, there's a massive crisis across the entire Middle East in the suburbs and towns of Lebanon and Syria. So I'd like it to include all.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all good?
Yep.
Can we see the reflection?
Maybe just change that to Middle East. I think it's just changed the word to the Middle East.
Just a question. Is that okay? Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe after he finishes.
Maybe after you let Councillor Saranovsky speak.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking the residents taking time out of their night to speak on this matter and their heartful words and support, especially the Youssef family and the Josefovski family for being active in our local community and passionate supporters of a worthy cause. Many of us will be familiar. Earlier this year, I brought forward a request to Council that called the planting of a Macedonian tree in our local community at Rockdale Park to acknowledge the tragic loss of innocent young lives lost and injured in the Kotchini tragedy. That gesture was simple but deeply meaningful. This was embraced by many in our community as a shown of incredible social. This can be shown as an incredible action, as seen by the social media response on Bayside Council socials, as a way to honour the memory of those lives and to foster healing through remembrance. Today, I bring forward a similar request arising again from the voices of our residents. While many continue to appreciate Council's gesture to the tragedy of Kotchini, there is now a growing and heartful call from our community to extend the same spirit of compassion and more broadly. In particular, many local residents have expressed a desire for Council to acknowledge the human suffering taking place in Gaza. This should not be politicised. And let me be absolutely clear. I come to this chamber with no political position on the conflict. My motion does not seek to take sides or assign blame, just as with the Kotchini tragedy. This is about honouring innocent lives lost, wherever they may be, offering a gesture of humanity, peace and remembrance. The suggestion from the community is to plant an olive tree, a symbol that carries profound meaning across many cultures, a symbol of resilience, of peace and of hope. It is a deeply intentional act, one that aligns with Australia's recent plans to formally recognise the state of Palestine and our country's long-standing support for a two-state solution. It also reflects Australia's historical role, dating back 77 years ago, when we were among one of the first nations to support the UN resolution of the establishment of Israel and a Palestine state. The Prime Minister's recent declaration reaffirms our country's commitment to peace, and this local initiative can stand out as a small but powerful echo of that national position, one rooted in humanity, unity and not division. Planting an olive tree in our community sends a simple but profound message. We care, we acknowledge suffering, we uphold peace, and we stand with all those, regardless of nationality, faith or background, who are caught in the crossfire of conflict and who seek only a future free of violence. This is not about politics, it is about people. It's about compassion. It is about the power of symbolic action to bring our communities together, to remember the innocent and to honour our shared humanity. Enough is enough. No more innocent lives should be taken from this world. An end must be put to this war, and those responsible to be held accountable and punished for genocide and treason. I support the call of residents also asking Council to request the flag being raised, and I commend this motion to the Chamber, and I thank the community for bringing this to my attention. As I ran a campaign on fostering community representation and consultation, I intend to uphold that, as I have in the past and will continue to do so. We, the councillors, need to remember, we are here to represent our constituents. This very chamber we meet in and debate in is very much also their chamber too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Saravinovsky. Further discussion? Councillor Kassim.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Saravinovsky, and thank you particularly to the residents who have come here tonight. I'm rising to second this because I have consistently supported social cohesion. I've done that all my life, but particularly here in Council. And I think that what we've heard tonight is a perfect example of that. I particularly want to commend the Macedonian community for standing here in solidarity. And that is really what we're talking about. We're talking about a community which has got a number of different nationalities. We honoured someone from the Nepalese community earlier tonight. We've had statements from the Macedonian. We've got a significant Mongolian community. We've got all sorts of communities here. And it is wonderful to see our communities support each other. I think that is the core of this. The other thing is that Council would know that I've supported therapeutic measures for our residents here. And that is in recognition of the fact that there is very significant trauma which is being suffered, really, by members of our community here. And so I think that, practical things such as what Council is doing in order to recognise that and try to help people deal with that is really, really important. And that is also part of social cohesion, because in order for people to deal normally with each other, which is what we're talking about as a community, for people to deal normal with each other, as other human beings, as others have said tonight, People need to feel that they are seen and heard. And so I'm very, very happy to second this motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kassim. Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Naji.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, just some clarification. He changed it from Gaza to the Middle East. Maybe my suggestion is to have Gaza, Lebanese, and October the 7th, if you want to be fair. Because in the last 2 years, Mr Mayor, there's only been one side killing children, infants, and committing genocide. Everyone around here, including residents, the community, when I look at social media, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart when a 5-year-old, starvation nearly to death, says in Arabic, I am Jo'an, which means I am so hungry. Please, the world, help me. And no one has been able to. It affects me, Mr Mayor. But when you just put Middle East, that means it's including Israel. Now, I'm suggesting to include October the 7th, Gaza and Lebanese, southern Lebanese. They're the biggest sufferers, and it's only caused by one side. So if you want to reflect truth and honesty, I'm not trying to politicise anything here. If anything, I could say this is just in support of the Prime Minister Albanese, which is fine. I don't have a problem. Mr Mayor, I want to remind you, you were on that previous council and many others in the last term, when Councillor Werner brought up for peace and ceasefire. Most of the councillors here today voted against it because this is local government. What can we do? We can't do nothing. And maybe we can't do much with one olive tree, but it is a significant signal. I've always supported to stop the suffering from humans. It doesn't matter which side, even in Ukraine, anywhere around the world, innocent people being killed, and especially children. My God, we're talking now over 60,000 being killed that they know about. And the majority are kids and children and elderly, male and females. Elderly, they're no combatants. And if you see on TV now or on social media, it's genocide, it's devastation. I've never seen so much destruction. Areas totally destroyed. So if we could set it back and be more specific, because there will be a lot of criticism from the community that I know of about just the Middle East, because that includes Israel. So if you want to be fair, you call it Gazan, Lebanese, and the October 7th. And I mean, this is who's been affected, innocent people on all sides. But my God, there's never been so many deaths from one side now. When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? Thank you.
Further speakers? No. Councillor Saranovsky.
Just in response to that, yeah, I'm okay with changing it to Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and October 7th.
Sorry, does that read in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and in Israel on October 7? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Item 13.10, notice of motion, Ron Gosling Reserve, Bardwell Park, Dog Off Leash Park. Mr. Peter Mistriotis, sorry. Mr. Mistriotis here.
Is that working? Yep.
Yep.
I've got a neighbour, Con Galanis, who's asked to stand with me while we speak, and I'm wondering if we can combine the times together.
Sure.
Yep. There was 3 of us, but Peter, he's quite elderly and has had to stay home this evening, which is a bit of a shame. We would have liked you to meet him. He's an elderly gentleman who actually backs on to Ron Gosling Reserve. We met Peter, sorry, let me backtrack. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, council staff, thank you for your time today. My name is Peter Mistriotis. I'm a resident of Bayside, living in Bardwell Park with my wife, my 2 daughters who are 5 and 3, and our 2 dogs, Harry and Sally. Con is a neighbour of mine. Peter, who's not here, as I was saying, that's a shame. Peter is an elderly gentleman. He backs on to Ron Gosling Reserve. We met Peter in that park he has his dog Wes, we have our 2 dogs. We met Peter on our morning walks with his dog. He has now become a friend of our family to the point where you've got a lone elderly gentleman who last week we went out to dinner with him to Marrickville Tennis Club. Every Christmas he brings presents to our front door and drops off Secret Santas for my kids. He's a lovely gentleman. I really wish he was here this evening. And as I said, he is an owner who backs onto the park. There are 3 other owners who back onto the park that we represent. I have a list of 21 households that Con and I represent tonight with over 50 residents. I have a list of the homes. You see I've got in green the homes that are dog owners, in pink the homes that are non-dog owners. So we are not just dog owners here that are seeking for some investment into the park. This is a mix of both dog owners and non-dog owners. We also represent 2 Facebook groups. One is the Bardwell Park, and the other one is Elwood 2206, and 1 WhatsApp group which is over 50 members in it. Today, unfortunately for Councillor Saravinovsky, some of those members have been sending emails of support, which I have printed off. I've refrained from sending them to all the other councillors out of respect for not bombarding your inboxes. However, if need be, I can provide all those emails of the neighbours that are in support. We only found out about this meeting on Friday, so I think the numbers that we have got together over a single weekend is quite telling as to just how many of us that are in support of this. I've been advised recently that there was a community consultation that was carried out in the past. I'm not aware of it. None of the 50-odd residents who I represent tonight are aware of it. We've asked for copies of that community consultation. Nothing has been provided. We are currently seeking fee proposals from community consultation consultancy firms to carry out our own community consultation if need be. We were advised that the findings was that there is no support for a fence on the park, which I find ludicrous. How can you have a dog park without a security fence to keep dogs in, or, you know, from other people who are maybe scared of dogs from entering the park? If you have a look, I've printed out photos of the entrance to the park. It is through a very narrow path that's about 1.4 metres wide. I was told that we cannot have a fence at the park because of its visibility and open nature, which is just nonsense. The entire park is screened on all 4 sides by existing fences. It runs along the train line, which has got a 4.2 metre high acoustic wall. That is the entrance from Water Street. I'm not sure if everyone can see that. All that is required is a gate. A 1200 millimetre wide gate. That is a very low cost. On the other side, there's another, that's behind the houses. As you can see, there's 1.8 metre high fences that surround the entire park. For the life of me, I do not understand how this park can be deemed to be visible to Darley Road. In fact, it's impossible to see the park from Darley Road. You actually have to walk down either May Street or Water Street to see it. That's the fence at Water Street. That is a little low timber fence. It's about that high with many openings in it. Does nothing to keep dogs contained. I have imagery here of text messages from April 23rd where I was walking my dogs in the morning and there was a big kind of, not a pile up, cars were skidding a road, and there was a dog running across Darley Road there on the morning traffic. I got the dog. I always carry my dog bag with my treats and waste bags, and I always have a spare lead, just in case I come across a stray dog. And on this day, I needed that lead. I found this dog. I've messaged the owner who was on the tag, said, I have found your dog, please call. Turns out that's somebody who lives, who also backs onto Ron Gosling Reserve. Their dog was in the park. It got scared. It ran away, ran onto Darley Road, nearly caused an accident. That has happened 3 times in the last 3 years since that was a dog park. Dog waste bag was installed. Not once. I go there every single morning, unless, weather permitting. Not once have I seen waste bags in that. I have spoken to Council Laws about that. I've been advised that is contracted to a private agency. That private agency has not once filled that up with a dog bag. What's the point of installing a dog bag, a waste bag dispenser, if you're not going to fill it up with dog bags? Secondly, I've got photos of the signage in the park. There's the sign that was installed a couple of years ago saying that Ron Gosling Reserve off-leash dog area. Dogs permitted on off-leash. Right next to that is a sign that says dogs must be on a leash. We would just like you to remove the old sign. I could remove it if you like.
Thank you, Mr.
May I keep going? Can I get an extra minute?
You need to wrap up.
1 more minute. The other thing we've asked for is a tap. I was told there is no water to the site. I've contacted Sydney Water. I've got the Sydney Water diagrams. There is in fact water in Darley Road, Water Street and May Street that runs along the park. You can tap into either of those streets. On top of that, within the park is water tap-in points behind every single house that backs onto Ron Gosling Reserve. There's about 12 of these in total. There's a photo here of a tap. So the water is already in that park. So everything that I've been told by council is not factual. I'll get to the point. What we're seeking, sorry, that's a photo from our Facebook page. This was, what's the date of this? Sorry, I can't. This was a couple of weeks ago.
Sorry, Mr. Mistriotis, you do need to wind up.
All right, what we are seeking is a gate to Water Street, a fence along the boundary to May Street, a tap and bubbler for both dogs, kids, humans, and some bench seats. And I really do wish Peter was here today so you can see some of the elderly residents who we've befriended. Dog parks bring communities together. There's a very, very small investment. That's what we're asking for, a gate to Water Street.
Yep. Thank you, we've heard Mr. Mistriotis.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, have a mover and a seconder. Move Councillor Sarabanovsky, seconded Councillor Brederhoft.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking the 2 residents and the numerous written submissions that have been distributed across to all of us. And I also want to thank the residents for bringing this matter to my attention and the huge support behind it. I rise this evening to move a motion that I believe reflects the voice, the safety concerns and aspirations of our local community, particularly those who live and around Ron Gosling Reserve and Bardwell Park. As councillors, we are entrusted with listening to our communities and responding with practical and inclusive solutions. Ron Gosling Reserve, a designated dog off the leash park section, sits between T8 railway line and Darley Road, bordered by 18 residential properties. It is beloved open space used by dog owners, local families, and those who simply enjoy the passive green space. In the past, council opted to retain it as an unfenced shared use area. However, I am now bringing forward this motion because community sentiment has shifted. Over recent months, I've received multiple requests from residents asking whether the reserve could be upgraded into formally fenced off the leash dog park with dedicated amenities and enhanced safety features. These aren't abstract suggestions, they're responses to real lived experiences and concerns. Tragically, this space has become a safety incident waiting to happen. As the resident mentioned, there's been close fatalities, and I've been made aware numerous near misses as well, where dogs have almost been hit by cars and kids chasing after them along May Street. We cannot afford for a tragedy to occur not on council's watch, This motion proposes two critical steps. The Council conducts a targeted survey, as mentioned in the motion, of residents adjoining or near to Ron Gosling Reserve to determine support for retaining the reserve as it is or fencing it to create a more formal dog off the leash area with the supported amenities. The second B, Council organises an on-site meeting with intersected councillors and local residents to discuss the ideas, concerns and possibilities in person. Should there be support for a fenced-off dog off the leash park, as we've seen from the numerous submissions and the speakers, I also believe we must explore the inclusion of the following important features. A secure fence, self-explanatory, along May Street to protect both pets and people. A double enclosure gate at the Water Street entrance enhancing containment and safety. Benches for seating, especially to support the elderly residents who frequent the park. A bubbler and water tap, ensuring hydration across for both dogs and owners. A waste bag dispenser to encourage responsible use and cleanliness. And the removal of, as the resident mentioned, the outdated sign stating dogs must be on a leash at all times, which no longer reflects the reserve's current designation. At present, the only well-maintained dog park with such facilities in the area is, I believe, Cahill Park, which is off the leash. I've visited many times and seen firsthand how it serves not only as a safe exercise area for dogs, but also as a vibrant community gathering space. There is no reason why Bardwell Park residents should be left behind in this regard. This is about much more than dog infrastructure. It's about safety, equity, and investing in a shared public space that supports all users. Let's do the right thing by our residents and begin this process of proper consultation, and I commend this motion to the Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Saravinovsky. Any further discussion? Councillor Naji, or Councillor Curry, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Naji. Thank you for bringing this motion, and I support the motion. I just wanted to, though, draw, it's important that residents are aware we've had a similar situation where there is a dog park behind houses. And what's happened was when and it's Firmstone Reserve and Pagewood, and what happened was when we fenced it off and made it an off-leash dog park, what happened was all the dog walking companies would come at all hours because it was a fenced off secure site, and what they would then do is be there at 5 a.m, at 6 a.m. with lots of dogs, and it actually caused disruption. So I just want to bring that to people's attention, to be conscious that when those sites are advertised broadly, that can be an impact that occurs, because we've experienced it with one of our dog parks. But, you know, definitely consultation. And to your point, Councillor Saravinovsky, you know, can I suggest that you then add a number 3 with the highlights you've suggested of removing the previous sign and adding a bench for consideration in the next budget?
Councillor Saravinovsky.
Yeah, happy to support that.
Thank you. Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the outset, I'm going to support this, but I just want to take you down memory lane in the last term or 2 terms. When I stood up in council on off-leash, you remember, council, and I said that we must have safety fences, we must have seatings, and we must have waste dispensing. And everyone laughed at me, didn't want to support me. And they are critical. Safety is one of the most important. And when I asked the question to the right department, how many reported attacks have we had where sometimes dogs run away and bite someone, or they fight with each other, or run, you know, in front of a car? I'm still waiting for those responses. And when I said that you need to have these safety fences, because if you check Channel 9, Channel 7 and Channel 10, there's been many reports of dog attacks, you know. So when we talk about safety, it's important. I will support this because it mentioned the fencing, it mentioned the seating, it mentioned the water, the bubbling water, and it mentioned the waste dispenser. dispensing. And on the safety issue, I will support this, and that's what we should look at every new off-leash park. We need to include these. So thank God it's a new term, new council, and things have changed. Hopefully they'll support me this time. Thank you.
Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
Just make a comment that at least it's already got fencing there, or part thereof, which is going to save the council a lot of money. And just I've been watching Fry's Reserve just being upgraded, and it's been too wet to go and really have a good look till now. So I do believe that Fry's Reserve was our first ever off-leash fenced area, and it was an amazing thing to see these dogs just all are very social. Maybe the owners mightn't be, but the dogs themselves had a wonderful time. So I'm looking forward to seeing this site. Seems quite suitable, especially because you've got the railway line as well. So hopefully we can go ahead and congratulate Councillor Savranovsky for bringing it forward.
Councillor Barlow, any further discussion? Councillor Bretterhoft.
Also thank you to the residents for bringing this forward. I mean, a lot of people have gotten dogs, and a lot of people will live in high density areas, so it's coming up in every area. So I very much agree with that, but can I just ask, what's the timing for that? Did we say something like this financial year, next financial year, or there's no timing, right?
What would the timing be were you not to receive that instruction?
So the first step is obviously the consultation. That's part of the resolution. So we would aim to do that this calendar year. We'd be doing the consultation. There is no budget for this, so we'll come back to you with a financial approach to how we could fund it. But the consultation itself, that can happen over the next couple of months.
Thank you. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. So that will go ahead to the residents. Thank you. Moving to item 13.13, notice of motion, commemoration and peace, honouring the lost children's lives in Palestine. We have one speaker in favour of the motion, Ms Manala Bassa, joining us via Teams, I believe.
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and the Council Chamber, for allowing me to speak. My motion largely is it's in harmony with motion 13.9, with the exception of Palestine being included as a whole, given the West Bank is being illegally occupied and children are being killed and kidnapped in that part of Palestine. So it shouldn't limit the plaque or the olive tree being planted for the children of Gaza, but the children of Palestine as a whole. I've drafted, without reiterating what most of the councillors and the members of the public have already spoken about in relation to motion 13.9. Some of the arguments in favour of the motion that I've drafted are as follows. Pardon me. Firstly, it affirms our shared humanity. So this motion is rooted in a basic moral truth. The life of every child, regardless of geography or nationality, is sacred. By mourning the children lost in Palestine, we are not taking sides in a political conflict. We are standing on the side of humanity. This action reflects our values as Australians and as a council that has always shown compassion and moral courage in times of injustice. Secondly, it supports our multicultural community. Bayside is one of the most culturally diverse areas in Sydney, with a significant number of residents who have personal, cultural or familial ties to the Middle East. For many in our community, the tragic images and stories from Gaza are not distant news, they are deeply personal. This motion provides a respectful space for communal grief and solidarity. It acknowledges the emotional toll felt by all our residents and assures them that their pain is seen and shared. Thirdly, pardon me, it's also a non-political peace-oriented symbol. The planting of an olive tree is not a political act. It is a universal symbol of peace, resilience and hope. It's a gesture that speaks to all people and all communities. Olive trees are not only native to Palestine, they are revered across cultures and religions. This symbol allows us to focus not on division, but on shared longing for peace, justice, and a future where no child suffers from war. It encourages dialogue and healing. This initiative creates an opportunity for community healing and interfaith dialogue by involving religious leaders, school children, humanitarian organisations and families in a public ceremony. We foster understanding and unity. In a time of global division, Bayside Council can model what compassionate, inclusive leadership looks like at the local level. Fifthly, it's a call for the protection of children everywhere. The motion does not isolate this tragedy. It situates the suffering of Palestinian children within a broader commitment to the protection of children in all conflict zones. By writing to the Australian government, we take a principled stand, one that transcends politics and reminds our federal leaders of their moral obligation to advocate for peace and humanitarian aid wherever innocent lives are at risk. It also strengthens local civic engagement. This motion empowers our local residents to participate in meaningful civic action. The public planting event and accompanying education and awareness campaigns will help.
Please wind up, Ms. Basser.
Okay, so in conclusion, this motion is not only timely, it is morally necessary in commemorating the children lost, in planting a tree of peace and encouraging our national leaders to act with justice and compassion. We urge all councillors to support this motion. Let Bayside stand with grieving families, let Bayside plant the seeds of peace, and let Bayside be a voice of reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Strong, seconded Councillor Kassim. Hand was up first. Councillor Kassim's hand was up first. Councillor Strong.
So yeah, two motions, pretty much asking for the same thing. Obviously, there's a big appetite in our community for this, coming from different aspects of the community. It's absolutely horrific what's going on. There's a lot already been said, so I won't say that much, but I bring forward this motion with our local community from a place of sorrow and responsibility across Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territories. Thousands of children's lives have been lost. Each had names, families and futures that will never be realised. In moments like this, silence is not neutral. Among Bayside's multicultural community, our families grieving deeply and they need to know their pain is seen. This motion does three things: acknowledges and mourns the tragic loss of children in Palestine and affirms solidarity with grieving families. Calls on the Australian government for an immediate ceasefire, protection of civilians and increased humanitarian aid, and commits the symbolic act of remembrance, planting an olive tree with a plaque in Arncliffe or maybe Rockdale Park. I'd have a preference for Arncliffe, but it could go in a number of places. The olive tree is a powerful symbol of peace and endurance. To make sure it thrives, Council could plant a semi-mature tree in a sunny, well-drained location with space for reflection and community gatherings. By planting this tree with school children, faith leaders and local residents, we show how Bayside faces grief with compassion, unity and hope. We cannot end the war, but we can take a stand for humanity. This motion is not divisive. It takes the side of children of dignity. So I agree with what Manal Basser said, that we include the word Palestine, not just Gaza. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kassim.
Yes, thank you very much. I am seconding this, having had discussions with Councillor Strong about minor amendments to it, so that this motion actually does align with the one we just passed with regard to the places which are mentioned, and also that that point number two actually acknowledges that the Australian government supports A, B and C, because certainly, all the statements made by the Australian government have been consistently and very publicly doing so. I certainly support everything that is in this motion. I have consistently and publicly supported, in particular, those three things: an immediate ceasefire, the protection of civilians under international law, and increased humanitarian aid to impacted communities since October 2023. So I'm very happy to do so again now.
So what are those amendments, Councillor Kassim?
Just the acknowledgement calls for the government to support, but acknowledges the Australian government
Well, acknowledges that the Australian government,
has supported.
yeah, supports.
There's still a letter in
So
the other
point
bit.
2 that calls for and acknowledges that the Australian government
Yeah,
supports A, B and C.
And the previous thing about saying just Middle East, I think Palestine should be mentioned, not just because of the West Bank as well. That's but apart from that, yes, Syria and Lebanon.
Are you happy to reflect the previous wording, but with Palestine instead of Gaza there?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the rest, I mean, I don't think we should have 2 tree planting events. The rest should refer back to the previous motion. So can we then, so it should say Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and Israel on October 7, 2023. Councillors, is there any further discussion while they write that up? Councillor Saranovsky.
Yeah, just for clarification for the residents and maybe the council officers, I know my fellow councilman suggested an olive tree. I'm not too fussed on the location, so I'm happy if after the results...
I don't think your motion has a location on it, so...
Oh, I think I spoke about Rockdale Park, mentioning Rockdale Park, but I'm happy for after council officers to get in touch with both of us and we can resolve it on our own time.
Point 2 should change to and acknowledges the Australian government support of blah, 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 and then points 4 through 7 should be replaced with refer to the council notice, the resolution of 13. Councillor Douglas.
I wondered if in point 2 that the movers might be amenable to adding particularly children and journalists. We've lost 5 journalists today in Gaza, and that is a war crime. It's against the Rome Statute and Geneva Convention, both of which strictly prohibit the deliberate targeting of civilians and journalists in conflict zones. So in the second point where it says targeting of civilians, particularly children, if we could add and journalists there, please.
Yeah, the mover and the seconder happy with that? Yeah. Councillors, any further discussion? No, I think we're just finishing editing the motion. I think they're just going to add that it refer back to the previous resolution passed. Councillors, any further discussion? I don't think they've written it yet. We take it as that the staff will write journalists there. Councillors, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Next item in the public forum, item 13.14, strengthening early childhood education, quality, safety and workforce conditions. For the motion, Evan Gray, interested resident, speaking in person.
G'day, my name's Evan, private member of the United Services Union, educator, and sadly a veteran educator because of the burnout rate that's kind of plaguing our sector. It's not a good time for our sector, just going to be blunt. And I don't think it has been a good time for the sector for a long time. It's almost been set up to fail, right? In the Howard years, maybe a third would be private for-profit run services. Let's look at how that's changed, how that's shifted, where 95% of new builds in long daycare are private for-profit. Perhaps 10% now between state government and local council are publicly run. That's ridiculous, especially when we look to the regulators' figures where about 40% of public are exceeding, and rated exceeding, compared to about 11% for private for profit. The regulator, when it does its inspections, looks at being a for-profit provider as a risk factor for abuse. We put that in the current context of what we're seeing now, where the market can provide, where we've got a publicly funded private sector where Ray White is encouraging supersized centres that, where possible, try to subvert the early years learning framework so that you have the minimum amount of size per child, the maximum amount of children possible. This is actually not a system that's functioning. And while council provides some of the best possible systems with safe staffing ratios, we need to acknowledge that this is a patchwork approach, with every council having a slightly different policy, slightly different approaches to the award. That's going to happen. But one of the strengths of this is that it encourages connection and setting benchmarks, making those things explicit. And I can tell you, having worked across different kinds of centres, these ratios are important. I've been in a centre where you effectively have 1 to 4 children, and I've been in a centre where you have the exact opposite, where we have a trainee that is working towards, and it's on their second day on the job. And you think of some of the children that you get. I have been in centres where we've had a child that has created enough of a challenge that we've had to lock down the centre because they've said things like, I want to cut you up, I want to hurt myself. And I think of what would have happened to that child if it was in a private for-profit centre with ratios where they were under the roof, where people were working towards. Would that child have been turned around for school? I don't know. That's something that really needs to be settled with. So we need to be making sure that we're supporting a strong system and setting those benchmarks openly. One of the horrors that does happen in many centres, labour hire can be phased out because it is a way that effectively subverts the screening that local government and state government does with its employees. That's pretty simple, and these people are paid not on the local government award, and they cost more per hour per day. So a lot of councils are being price gouged at the moment, and that is currently what happened with Willoughby and City of Sydney, where the perpetrator in question was a serial labour hire employee and then ended up masturbating in front of children. That's the frank matter. No screening beforehand. So phasing out labour hire is an important part of making sure that our public sector is meeting the standards. And this can be done in consultation with peak bodies, with the union, to make sure that everything's above board. And there is a noted typo that I've just seen as I stare at it right in front of me. I believe the meaning for CCTV as a substitute for supervision is meant to be, is not a substitute for supervision. And I can see some people nodding that they caught that too. So I would just note that, and that the national NQF stands for National Quality Framework. So this means also advocating for it on a federal system.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Strong. Seconded Councillor Boudeleau. Councillor Strong.
Thank you. We've all seen the disturbing headlines in recent weeks about the abuse and neglect in these private childcare centres. Families deserve better than a system where profit can come before children's rights and safety. So this is about a motion going to the local government conference in Penrith in November. The motion is about protecting children and supporting educators. The evidence is clear. For-profit early childhood centres are more likely to fall below standard, while council and not-for-profits reinvest in quality and safety. We've seen far too many disturbing cases of abuse in the private sector. This motion calls on the LGNSW to push for stronger safeguards, fairer staffing levels, no unsafe labour hire, no educator ever left behind with children, and proper checks that can't be bypassed. This is about ensuring early childhood education is safe, fair, trusted. I ask for your support.
Councillors, further discussion. Councillor Boudeleau.
I'll probably get struck off the Liberal Party for saying this, but I think Abigail Boyd in the upper house is doing great work through the Greens there, and I think it was Four Corners or 7:30 report. Have a look at it. I remember watching that while I was on a trip. It's really moving. Some of the stuff there, it's disgusting. The regulator's not doing enough, obviously. So I've got kids in daycare, and luckily we found a pretty good one. But I think it's a bit of a luck of the draw, and you know, looking through that, you can see the staff are under pressure. They're for-profit businesses. You know, this is not a factory, right? So you want to have a space where kids are learning, where everyone is getting along and their outcomes. So I think this is a great motion, and yeah, hopefully it gets up. Thank you.
Councillor Boutillier. Councillor Curry.
Yeah, look, thank you for bringing this motion. Obviously, you know, what we've been seeing and hearing is, you know, totally unacceptable, what's happening in some early learning centres, and I think there is definitely a need for the strengthening of early childhood across the board, so that families can feel their children will be safe and will be comfortable. Just noting that this is going, or it's being proposed to go to local government conference. I can't send anything out without evidence. So I can't, where we talk about evidence shows that for-profit providers are more likely to fall below. I haven't seen any evidence. I haven't seen any evidence of that. So we can't ever, and I think I've said this to you before, Councillor Strong, if we're making broad statements, we've got to have evidence that support that in the background there. So I'm going to suggest, because we're the ones that go to local conference that have to potentially get up and talk to this if it's moved by Bayside, and we can't do that without that. So what I'm going to suggest, for the purposes of timing, that what we do say is that, you know, we call on New South Wales Government to recognise, I'm happy with C, local government is well placed to provide and to support not-for-profit early childhood centres. A and B, you know, regardless of our views, again, I have no evidence because I know there are good private providers as well. So I'm not going to put them all in one bucket. I think that is unjust. So I'm going to suggest, if you're happy, Councillor Strong, that we remove A and B, because it's only to recognise anyway, and that, and, you know, to the Speaker's point about the use of private labour hire, I wasn't aware of that, and that's disturbing to me. And I think it's really important that there is that, you know, real, which working with children checks are, you know, checked, and that the people going into these centres are, you know, have been fully screened, so that's vital. And I'm just having a quick look. You changed for, yeah. So if you're just happy to remove A and B, because we just don't have the evidence at this point in time. And it's not the motion anyway. The motion is about 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is, you know, and we just need to change the wording, because where it says to that local government, New South Wales will support, normally the wording is that local government, we ask that local government New South Wales advocate and work with councils. Are you happy with that?
Can I just suggest that with the spirit of the motion you've put forward, that the staff finalise the wording of it and then circulate it back to councillors before it's submitted?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
So we can get it all consistent and... No, I think we'll support it tonight, but note that the wording will be updated prior to submission. Yeah. So it's consistent with all our other motions and all that. I'm sure we can add that in the background. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour? Sorry, Councillor Barlow.
Sorry, just a comment. I do believe not-for-profit, I think, does produce... No, there is other people, but I really feel not-for-profit is where we should be leading, and it should be that way, but it's... I mean, I'm cleaning up. I've been emptying a bookcase, but then my daughter was only at preschool, not a long daycare centre. They didn't exist. It was $7.80 a week. And for 3 days, 9 till 3. And they've just celebrated their 50th anniversary, that preschool. But I feel that we've got so many being opened up in Bexley, it's a joke. Absolute joke. There's 5 within 10 minutes or 5-minute walking. Now, does that mean Bexley? I believe it must be, because it's close to the airport, it's close to the city, it's just far enough away. But when it's not for profit, I think they seem to have a different role of thinking of what should be done. I believe one of the perpetrators was I thought, when I read it, was in after-school care, and we lost our after-school care, which we had, I believe, in the Botany area, and that went to a profit person. We were running it. Now, and it went to, I think, Victoria. It went somewhere where it was nowhere, which should have stayed with us. So, and I feel also we can encourage family daycare. We're losing that as well, and that's a really good effort. There's a wonderful one in Carlton. So I'm happy to support it, and hopefully we can do something. And I don't believe we can't keep building though. That's the problem. I remember the Speaker coming once before, or twice before, I think now, talking about, I think it was Blacktown, but that's what their program. So anyway, I'm hopefully something will happen.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. I wasn't going to comment, but after the mention of $7.80 a week for childcare, as someone currently shopping for childcare, I'm outraged and disgusted by that. I feel a deep sense of spite along with everything else towards former generations. But I would like to just comment that that I've recently visited one of Council's childcare centres, Garragarang at Kogarah, and just what a fantastic job they do. Comparing it back to when I was a child, I think the sort of services you get in childcares these days is really incredible, and it's a real the staff should certainly be commended there. But also shopping around other childcares in the area, I do want to further Councillor Curry's point. There are a lot of great, I think, private providers out there as well. I do wish I lived near a not-for-profit provider, but to Councillor Barlow's point, there are a lot of childcare centres opening up because there's a huge demand for them. I mean, I've spoken to so many now that laugh me out of the room, the idea that trying to book in a year and a half out, that they'd be a space. So this is obviously a big issue right now and a hot topic of debate, and certainly support the motion going forward. But I think it should clarify that this should be about supporting great childcare. Anyway, thank you. Any further discussion, Councillor?
Mr. Mayor, just a quick one with the point A regarding the evidence. Can I ask the Speaker a question to provide evidence now, or later? Can we compile some?
I think perhaps to the point that it's going to be looked at by the staff. I'm sure they'll be able to establish that. All right, thank you, councillors. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Our final speaker in the public forum, item 13.6, historical fee arrangements, Angelo Onesti Aquatic Centre. For the motion, Mr. Robert Collaro, one of the foundation members of the Angelo Onesti Aquatic Centre and a local resident. Mr. Collaro.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. My name's Robert Collaro, and I'm a long-term resident of Bayside and a foundation member of the Angelo Onesti Aquatic Centre. The Angelo Onesti Aquatic Centre at Bexley was managed by Bluefit from the time it opened in 2017 until Council took over management from the 1st of July 2023. On the 26th of June 2023, just prior to the changeover, I received an email from Bluefit addressed to all members in which Bluefit offered foundation members to, and I quote, honour your membership, including pricing, terms and conditions at the Hurstville and Sans Souci centres. At the council meeting on the 28th of June, after a fellow foundation member, Mr Andrew Jones, asked about the future of foundation members under council's management, the General Manager made a clear and public commitment to the 169 remaining foundation members, saying, and I quote, I am pleased to say that those 169 members will be offered the exact same offer that Bluefit made to them those years ago, end quote. She went on to say, quote, it will be a seamless change for the foundation members who will continue exactly as they are now, end quote. That statement contained no time limit. It promised foundation members would continue exactly as they are now. An agreement we understood to be perpetual, as was the original Bluefit offer. I, and I'm sure others, chose to remain at Bexley based on this specific and public promise from Council. However, this year, recent correspondence from Council contradicts this commitment. A letter dated 30th of July 2025 states that the promise was only for the first year. Emails sent just a week later on the 7th of August also referred to the initial year of council's management, and that, moving forward, fees and charges may be reviewed. The council's public promise, recorded on YouTube for all to see and hear, was fundamentally different from what has been claimed in recent correspondence. The promise was not for 1 year, it was to honour the exact same offer that we always had. Councils make financial decisions that bind them and future councils for years to come. This commitment should be no different. I'm here tonight to ask Council to honour the commitment it made to Foundation members at the Council meeting of the 28th of June 2023, to honour the original offer made by Bluefit to Foundation members, and that the benefits, etc., are carried over in perpetuity. We ask that you fulfil the promise. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr Claro. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move that, Mr Mayor.
I think Councillor Barlow is the move. I think it was her motion, but moved in second. Councillor Barlow and Awada.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, this came about, I've had a few people ring me about the Foundation members. This came about when Foundation members received a council email saying Council's commitment to honouring the Foundation members right during the initial year of council management. Just for councillors that are in the chamber, I think when the original fee model was introduced by Bluefit, which was back in 2017, there were 500 Foundation members with an agreed annual fee increase of $1 per fortnight annually starting in July. Now, from 500 members, by the time Council assumed direct management of the centre in June 2023, which was like 6 years, the number of Foundation members had decreased to 169. So that's like a quarter of the members. So, and that decrease, as of today, the numbers has further declined to just 130. What we've got to be mindful of, I mean, starting with 500 reduced to 169 and 130, there's not really much in terms of what Council would be making if there were, and the confusion is members got the email saying that it's only for the 1 year. So currently Foundation members pay 29. I don't think the understanding is they're not disputing the fact that they have to pay the extra $1 per fortnight annually. But it's in the understanding from that email is it's only going to be for year 2025. So when you really work out a pay of 29 per fortnight, which equates to about 754 annually, that's a lot of money. A lot of gyms and pools don't charge that fee. And mind you, we are offering people paying up front for a whole year for the cost of 6 months, which basically translates back to the 29 roughly. I'm just giving approximate numbers here. It's important to note that a number of these members are seniors who make limited use of the facility, some attending only once or twice a week, and often not even using the amenities like the gymnasium and the showers and so forth. Now, given the significant reduction in Foundation members and the original agreement of modest annual increase, it would be fair and reasonable for Council to honour the initial arrangement of $1 per fortnight increase each July. So basically, to put minds at ease, I'd like to add another point to the notice of motion by Councillor Barlow, that Council commit to honouring an annual increase of $1 per fortnight for Foundation members, effective 8th July, until such time as the members discontinue their membership. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor Awada. Any further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
Yes, I feel that's the way it should be. I did find the membership in the fees and charges, and it did say, so this, it sort of says as per terms and conditions. Well, the terms and conditions didn't match qualify what was the pricing here. So I believe that this is what it was supposed to be, and we have to be very grateful of the foundation members that we had, because they were the ones that fought to have this pool revitalised. We lost a pool out of it. It would have made a huge difference. So they were the members that fought for about 5 years to try and get Angelo and Estes or the Bexley pool upgraded. So that was part of their commitment, and that's part of, I think, our thanks to them. So I'm happy that it moves that way and everyone supports it.
Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Moving to reports, item 11.1, accelerate the upgrade of Victory Reserve Cross Street Cogger, additional information to item CWA 25.028. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Yeah, I'll move it, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Naji, seconded Councillor Brederhoff.
I just want to congratulate the staff and everyone that's been working on it, and accelerating the upgrade is a must for the community. As you know, the area, it's all high-rise now and built-up area, a lot of community, so it will benefit the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any further discussion?
Just a
Councillor
question.
Barlow.
I was actually looking at the park on Monday, because I was at the nursery committee meeting. I think now it's going back out to consultation, is that correct? Because they've thrown a spanner in the works by changing what we've consulted.
Through the chair, if tonight's committee paper is adopted by council, then we will go back and do some redesign work, and then we will have to go back to the community to consult, because it'll be quite different to the original plan that you had before you.
Okay.
So that would include a dog off leash area, possibly in lieu of a playground, or something, a different type of playground.
Yeah, because I studied the area, because I'm up above it, and it's a very small park, and the lady that spoke said it's very muddy over at Moorfield. You had dogs on there, it'll be very muddy very quickly, or maybe they think it's only going to be a small dog park. So I think that the playground is the most important part in that park. So we'll wait and see what comes out of the consultation. But I would hate to think you'd have this little tiny area like this for the dogs. It's not a big park. So, and I just feel that as long as I know it's going out to consultation, we'll know further when it all comes back. Because I believe at one stage they didn't want that, so they wanted other things.
Right, thank you. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. And thank you, councillors. We do have a lot of reports to move through, so if we can keep discussion limited. Item 11.2, Oswell Street, Rockdale, proposed bus zone. Moved Councillor Naji, seconded Councillor Saravinovsky.
Look, I'll be very brief. The reason I pulled it out is it's another way of demonstrating that sometimes when it's not a straightforward recommendation, it confuses the residents, it confuses councillors, and so I called for an on-site meeting. I know it was a very heavy rainy day, and a lot of residents were there, and I want to thank Louise from our council with her staff. They braved the weather, and guess what? Once it was all explained on site and you can see it with a vision, there was no problem. So it's going to go ahead with the right recommendation, problem solved. Thank you for deferring that for an on-site meeting.
Well done all. Councillors, further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 11.4, LGNSW annual conference attendance. Do I have a mover into a seconder? Move Councillor Curry, second Councillor Bezic. We need nine nominations for 9 delegates to attend the conference. Up to 9. Councillors, Councillor Curry, Councillor Bezic, I think just interest around the table. We might have more interest than we have positions. Councillor Saravinovsky.
If some councillors are unaware of... No, I'm not nominating myself. No, if some councillors are unaware on the spot right now, we would obviously be able to make availabilities for it.
So subject to the maximum number of delegates. Can we have a quick indication of anyone who knows they want to go?
We've booked for 7 that have indicated previously.
So we have 8 councillors wanting to go, and then I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I included you, Councillor Naji. And then Councillor Sarabanovsky, you a potential when you check your schedule?
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
Does that make me the 9th?
That would make you the 9th, but you might want to, as per our facilities policy, if you're unable to attend, you would incur the cost personally, so maybe you want to check afterwards. So I think, just for the record, we have Councillors Curry, Bezic, Boudeleil, Strong, Kassim, Brederhoft, Naji and Barlow, who would like to attend, and then the final position can be filled after the fact when any councillor is willing to indicate. Well, I'm happy to defer a spot to the other councillors who want to attend.
Because accommodation's the issue.
Yeah, so I think we need to book, the General Manager's told me she's only booked 7 accommodation, 7 hotel rooms. So we might need to organise. Survival of it's a lottery.
Yeah, councillors, the accommodation is virtually booked out in Penrith. We have found a very nice accommodation a little bit further away around Windsor. We booked for all of you who've indicated so far that you wish to attend. If anyone else has not indicated yet, we'll be in touch with you tomorrow. We need to lock it in ASAP, or we're not going to be able to get accommodation for you.
Yeah, the GM swung me. I'll nominate myself.
There you go. All right, Councillor Sarabanovsky as well. So just noting that a couple of people may have to stay further away. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. Everyone's staying further
Oh,
away.
everyone is now staying further away. We can get a bus. All right, councillors, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 11.5, progress report on councillor notice of motion, August 2025. Move Councillor Awada. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Barlow.
I better be quick because the computer's saying it's shutting down, but apparently, and I've been told that I can't do anything about it. So,
being very aggressive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I've just gone to the attachment, and I'm referring to item 12.1, notice of motion, continuation of the Prime Minister plaque. So, it says here in the status to be substantially completed. What I wanted to ask was, with the motion, it was supposed to have more plaques across from Bardwell Valley to the Angela Anestis Aquatic Centre. Now, I have gone for a walk myself. As you know, I do a lot of walking. And the only thing that's actually happened to date is replacement of the old plaques. Does that mean we are still going ahead with putting more between Bardwell Park or Bardwell Valley and the Aquatic Centre?
I think the original motion, and correct me if I'm wrong, was to seek funding, whether we could find other external funding to do that.
So where are we up to with that?
General Manager.
So through the chair, we are looking for funding opportunities, so we are continuing to do that. But at this point, we haven't identified anything suitable, no grant opportunities that have been suitable at this point. But we do have someone actively seeking to see if funding is available.
Thank you. Councillors, anything further? Councillor Kassim.
Yes, thank you. Mr Mayor, I asked for this to be pulled out for item 37, which is also regarding signage. It's the interpretive signage matter, which the General Manager has made comments on in item 13.3 rather than dealing with it there. I'll just similarly say that I'm not sure that it gets a green at the moment. I think I'd say in progress. I'd like to really acknowledge with huge thanks the work the Council has done so far in finding those 160 potential places for signage, for interpretive signage. And this is, if people will recall, this is about dual interpretive signage for places which are of significance to Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Australia. I think we've gone a long way. We've identified them, and as my motion indicated, I was proposing consultations with our RAP committee and also Gujaga, which should hopefully, between the two of them, include all our elders and the Aboriginal community. But if there's others in the Aboriginal community, other elders, certainly include them. So I think we haven't done that yet, and then we haven't come with their prioritisation, which is how I would see that happening, that there is a need to actually prioritise things. And then, and perhaps I should have been more specific in the original motion, but I think that then what we need from the prioritisation is really with a view to looking at costings for next year's budget. And I'd say that, responding to the General Manager's report, where some indicative costings are given, but obviously when we look at the priorities from our consultations, we'll be able to have a clearer idea of what the costings are and how we might be able to schedule into next year, and indeed how we might be able to apply for funding from some of the funding.
Councillor Kazim, I think it's substantially completed, or down to substantially completed. Because
I'm saying no.
What I'm saying is that the actual notice of motion that council passed was to bring this back at this meeting, which is what's happening very shortly.
Well, except that, I mean, like the third item, an educational program.
No, but that's not what it's saying that we've done. It's just saying that the resolution was to bring this back, and that's what's happening now. So it's not saying that all of that work's been done.
Okay, so I'm assuming that council will come back with the priorities indicated.
That's right, once we get back to the motion tonight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Councillor Awada?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can we possibly include in the column where it says notice of motion title the name of the councillor that submitted the motion in the first place?
I'm sure we could very easily do that in
Do we have to put it as a on here, or that we could do that? Okay, thanks.
Trust but verify. Well,
thank you.
We can formalise that if it doesn't happen by next meeting. All right, councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item CPE 25.024, development of draft mascot master plan. Councillor Boudelet, will you leave in the room? Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Kazim, seconded Councillor Naji. Councillors, is there any discussion? Noting that largely we'd need to move it into a confidential session, as Councillor Boudelet has conflicted out. To discuss it, does any councillor wish to discuss anything in the confidential item? No. All those in favour, I assume we need to do this by way of division. Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Bezic, Councillor Strong, Councillor Kazim, Councillor Brederhoft, Councillor Naji, Councillor Awada, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Douglas, and myself for, carried unanimously, noting that Councillors Boudelet and Saravinovsky are out of the room. Do we want to invite Councillor Boudelet back in?
Just got to take off Councillor Boudelet.
Yeah, you need to correct the record. Should be a note that Councillor Saravinovsky was absent rather than during the item. Item CWA 25.027, Boulevard Car Park redevelopment, preliminary business case and CapEx review for Office of Local Government. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Douglas. Seconded. The Boulevard Car Park redevelopment, item CWA 25.027. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brederhoft. Councillors, any discussion? Councillor Douglas. Councillor Naji.
Sorry, is Councillor Douglas speaking forward?
I don't.
No?
Reserve a right to speak.
Look, I don't have an issue with the car park. I'm just thinking overall, because it says here, preliminary business case and CAPEX review for Office of Local Government. And I respect that process and it should go that way. But I'm just wondering, and I'm actually guided by my fellow councillors, if we defer this preliminary for a bit, because as we all know, there's been, not to do with this application, but the site, there's been an ICAC issue, there's been a parliamentarian issue in Parliament where there's an ongoing issue, and also the local government, which is our Minister, Mr. Honing. I'm just wondering, for perception-wise, and again, there's nothing wrong with this, is to defer it, unless, because I believe there's a court case next month in regards to the former boulevard, and I'm just thinking it's only not much longer, maybe at the next council meeting or at the October meeting, that would have dealt with the court case and everything, because I don't know what the local government would be feeling like right now acting on this car park. So I'm guided by you guys. I think perception from the community, it'll be great to just wait, then we can move on full speed ahead. So I'm guided by you guys, that's it.
General Manager, do you have a comment?
Through the chair, councillors, you will recall that the model that we are now working on in terms of development of the Boulevard car park is a council stand-alone model. It's quite different to some of the comments that Councillor Naji made earlier. This is a requirement. It's a requirement from the Office of Local Government. It is purely assessing council's ability to fund a development of this scale, taking into account all of the other programs and projects that we have on the go at the moment. So it's really a very rigorous and objective financial assessment only, and it's for a standalone car park, the development of a standalone car park. So I think it's, in reality, it's quite separate from some of those earlier matters that were referred to.
You councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Douglas.
I'll just, my right of reply. I mean, I wasn't on council when any of those issues related to an unsolicited proposal to the Boulevard car park. I think that's what you're talking about. So, you know, I have no investment in that history. What my investment is as a resident is knowing that this is a very outdated piece of infrastructure that desperately needs to be updated, and also a new library provided and community space. I think that the whole of the town centre of Brighton needs our love and attention, and we've been through a very transparent process going through to make sure that that is very people-centric, with a healthy streets focus as part of the master plan that's also on the table and being developed. So I would really urge the council to just support moving on with this tonight so that we can get some action on this sort of long overdue infrastructure renewal.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Councillors, all those in favour? All those against? Declare it carried. Item CS 25.024, New South Wales Electric Vehicle Curbside Charging Grant, round 2 outcomes. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Brederhoff, seconded Councillor Kassim. Councillor Barlow, or sorry, Councillor Brederhoff, did you want to speak? Councillor Barlow.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move for this to be deferred because, but once again, I looked at it and I went, oh my goodness. I remember I watched the meeting and I saw that Councillor Wada said, oh, there's only 2 in Fulford. And then I started looking, then I looked at the addresses. And I remember at a traffic committee meeting when Councillor Curry was the chair, we went through this once again, not outside houses, whatever. So what I have, and I hope everyone that has a ward has looked at what they've nominated. I have got 5 Oriental Street, which has got no parking, and it's going to be another 90-place childcare centre approved by the courts in a dead-end street, in a cul-de-sac. But then we get 18 Kinsale Grove, Bexley. I drove up there and I thought, that's a bit weird. Telegraph poles are on the other side of the road. This has got a disabled parking through the whole frontage. It is a group home where the bus parks. Luckily, I do know someone that lives in the street because I said, what's that for? So there's another one that's even wrong. 22 Warrialla Street, not sure which it is. One pole is a no parking, has no parking on it because you can't park there because it's dangerous. It's on a corner. Then there's another one, then you get another page that says, oh, and here's some extra ones. So they've got another one which I can't even work out where it is. I can't work out if it's 1B Short Street or 18 Short Street. So there's so many things wrong just in my ward. So I'm hoping everyone in the room has looked at all their addresses, because I feel this needs to be deferred till everyone that's a local confirms their addresses. Because if you look, that's only a few of mine. So I think there's 2 right out of 7. So 7, there was only 2 to start with till you look on the other side. So as far as I'm concerned, hopefully everyone will support deferring it until, well, I'm deferring the ones from Ward 4 because they're incorrect. Most of them. I think there's 1 out of this correct, the rest are all wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, I would hope that you would all defer it and run it and go and look at your addresses.
Sorry, can we just clarify? This is only taking it out for community consultation. So I would say, and we have grant funding for this as well.
No, yeah,
and sorry, can I finish, Councillor Barlow? And I just comment while I'm speaking on the Ward 5 ones, which I've certainly looked at, and they're all either outside apartment blocks or not in front of houses, in front of parks and the like.
I know you're going into consultation, but I don't believe you should be spending the money consulting with the ones I've nominated in my ward that you can't possibly put one there. And that's what I think is wrong, is that what's the point of wasting council staff time putting out letters and consulting if they can't do it there? When the telegraph pole's on the other side of the street at the address they've got, and there's a no parking outside one whole house because it's a group home.
Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Safety is of importance. Councillor Barlow is right in a way that if you put them outside the houses and recharging, the battery could blow up and set the car on fire and that, but I'm not against installing the electric vehicle chargers, but I just want to take you briefly to the 5th of March this year. And I don't know if the report is going to take this into consideration. The 5th of March, it says EV sales slump. That's Channel 7, Channel 9, 70% decrease in Tesla sales for February compared to 2024. Then another one here, 50% fall in electric vehicle purchases for year to date. So I'm just wondering, and 220% rise in hybrid vehicle purchases for year to date. So there's a lot of money to be invested in there, and I just want to make sure, am I getting propaganda on Channel 7 and Channel 9 and others, or true or not true, are we going to invest in something that really there's been a sales slump?
So this is at no cost to ratepayers.
I know, no cost to ratepayers, but we're talking about safety. And as you've seen on TV many times, that cars are emblazoned. Even the fire brigade, officers of the fire brigade saying that it's hard to even put the car off, out of fire. So I don't know. Just want to make sure the safety issue is addressed if we're going down that lane. That's all.
Councillor Morrissey.
Yeah, look, I think Councillor Barlow raises a great point, and we've had a number of issues with not only the charging areas, but the car share space and things like that as well. But the point of this is a public consultation. It's no cost. So I think there's an opportunity to go and actually talk to these community And if the community are very loud and it says, no, we do not want it here, it's going to come back to committee and come back to council. It gives us a starting point. If there's a lot of noise, we check and adjust and find new locations. It's actually what we all advocate for quite regularly, is giving the community a voice, and this is the opportunity to do it at no cost. Again, if it comes back and it's negative, we don't go ahead. It's as simple as that. So I support the motion in its current form, not subject to the community verbatims that we'll get back from that.
Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Douglas?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Morrissey. As a person who is one of, I think, 3 of us in the room, so 1/5 of the councillors drive electric vehicles. We are in a poorly serviced area in terms of electric vehicle charging. So I'm keen for us to take up the opportunity for this grant and to go on public consultation so that we can start to reverse that negative trend. And I just wanted to specifically mention some facts around EV fire safe. So EV fires are significantly rarer than those in internal combustion engines, is the data. However, because they're rare, they make headlines due to their novelty. Traditional internal combustion engine vehicles are far more likely to ignite due to factors like engine oil leaks, fuel system issues and lack of maintenance. So I think there's sometimes a conflation between the poor quality and lack of standards on e-bikes, and certainly e-bike batteries are an issue and they do need regulation, but actually electric vehicle batteries are very, very safe. The biggest problem with them is when they've been in an accident and they are then not looked after. So yes, if you do have an accident with your EV, your battery could become flammable, but like all cars.
You councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Kassim?
Yes, thank you. I would also like to support doing this as expeditiously as possible. As I say, I have an interest as well. But I'm just wondering, and someone can advise on this, whether it is possible just to respond to what Councillor Barlow is saying, whether we could just add in endorses the proposed locations of electric vehicle curbside charging stations with minor amendments where we're in front of private homes, private houses, and just and allow Councillor Barlow to make those comments to council staff.
Just to be clear, I think we may be talking about 2 different things. Whether it's, I think that you mentioned the Warri Alder Street, Councillor Barlow, which I think is in front of a multi-storey apartment block. I wouldn't consider that a problem for putting in a charger.
No, that's not a problem, but what they've indicated is the addresses they want to put on the pole. The pole next to it possibly might not be suitable because it's got to have all sorts of qualifications before you can put the EV charger on it.
Yeah.
Some of them are light poles, some are, and you think, oh, it's a telegraph pole. No, it's not.
Well, that's why we're doing this consultation step.
But these people, I think, have nominated the sites themselves. I've got one here, which is 1B, I couldn't find it before, opposite 1B Short Street. Now, that's in Carlton. We have there's 1A, there is not a 1B. I'm thinking, so I don't know what the address is. So that's why I'm saying is we have to, my understanding is the charging operator nominated them. The other question is, I did ask, that in this thing it says number of charge ports. Does that mean we're taking away 2 car spaces or we're only going to have 1? So I just want to know, are you calling a point of order? Well, that's what I can sit down. So one question I did ask was that the number of charge ports, is that 2 spaces, car spaces, because it means 2 cars can punt up? Because that means we're losing, that's what I want to know. I did send an email in.
Sorry, Councillor Barr, I was just going to suggest if you've got a couple, I've checked all mine, but if you've got a couple, just pull out the actual ones. Yeah.
Well, I think the concern, Councillor Councillor Awad has made a separate point here that there are already very few charge points nominated in Ward 4. So if we pull out what Councillor Barlow said, there'd effectively be none.
It's not that, it's the fact that they're incorrect. I'm just, if the charging operator's nominating a site, he should have been precise. We didn't, when we first did it, the first lot, the staff did it, and we learned all about telegraph poles. That's a light one, you can't start charge there. But the other question was number of charge ports. Now, does that mean you're taking 2 car spaces?
The General Manager, you've asked the question. I think the General Manager can respond.
Through the chair, if it is a double charge point, then that does mean that 2 cars can charge concurrently.
Thank you. So everyone should think that's going to be a lot of car parking we're going to lose on street. If 1 charge point's fine, but there's one in, I've forgotten where our community battery is in Neil Gilchrist Park, but you've got to think about the future of the people that live there, that in a unit block that need that car space.
Can I
will nominate the areas I know that they're wrong in my ward.
Councillor Brederhoft.
Can I just say, I think maybe we don't understand quite how it works. Like, this is a pole put to in Newtown, and it's next to the street and cars are parking there. The normal car parking hours is 2 hours, right? So an e-car can come up, needs their own charging cable put on it. It's not very big, it's very small. You probably wouldn't see it because it's very, new technology. And then they plug it in while they're parked, they go away. If another car comes and doesn't need to charge, that's fine. The car parking can be used. So I think we need to go on with this solution motion here that says investigate it and do consultation, and maybe consult with people who live there and park there and who have electric cars.
Just make a comment then. I don't know if Councillor Brederhoft said anyone can park there. You are not allowed to park there. Once it's designated electric car, you cannot park there except if you're an electric car. I have actually spoken to people that have their slow chargers, and one lady just said, I won't use that. She charges at home. But it's the fact that the way I'm reading it now is we're going to lose 2 car spaces, not 1. Big difference. And also it means that no one can park there unless you have, my understanding is, unless you have an electric car and it has to be charging, it is not, it's a selective few that can park there. But I'm happy, I will just notify the council of the incorrect addresses that I have. Hopefully everyone goes and looks exactly where they are.
Councillor Naji.
I'm just trying to assist the chamber. I think I understand the language of Councillor Barlow, maybe because I've been on council since 2002 and really understand her so well. I think let's not get it wrong. She's not against the idea or the implementation of charging stations. All she's saying that certain spots are in the wrong spot. As a ward councillor, I think she's given a good feedback and I think she's been advised, but let's get it clear. She's not against the EV charging stations. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. I'm just concerned at what Councillor Awad has previously raised, that again, if we say that Councillor Barlow will remove some of these unilaterally, then there'll be none left in Ward 4. Sorry, I'm not debating across the chamber, Councillor
I agree
Naji.
with you,
I think
Mr.
that
Mayor.
would be simpler. Councillor Barlow, do you want to move an amendment to remove the ones you like, and we can just put it to a vote and then move forward?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, you're right. If she removes those 2 spots, can't we replace them with other suitable spots?
No,
Okay.
we can't. Or rather, we could replace them with other spots potentially, but they wouldn't be in Ward 4.
Could I suggest we leave them in, given that this is going to public consultation and these are high-rises, and high-rises, people who live in multi-unit dwellings are more disadvantaged. They less likely have their own ability to charge their own electric vehicle because their multi-rise building wasn't built that way, if it's more than 5 years old or even recent things. So I think it's really up for the users, the public, to make their submissions at this stage before we start taking things off the table and assuming that we know better than everybody else in the community.
I'm just making the point that this report
Look, I'm
is
sorry,
incorrect.
Councillor Barlow, you can put an amendment to remove them if you want, but I don't think this debate is getting us
Well,
anywhere.
no,
You've already
the
made your
amendment
point.
is,
Yeah.
okay, people are criticising me. These are outside, well, one can't
Nobody's
park there.
criticising you,
And
Councillor
that's
Barlow.
I'm just saying that maybe there's other ones that are wrong. Okay, well, amendment is 18 Kinsale Grove. It's a group home with disability.
We're noting these down.
1B Short Street, I don't know where that is. It's round the corner from my shop. I don't know, I thought it was 18, but it's not. It looks like it's 1B.
It's your former shop, Councillor Barlow, otherwise you'll declare an interest if you say around
From my old shop, my retired shop. 22 Warialda Street. I think it might be further down the street, but at the 22 Warialda Street has a no parking sign on it. And what was the other one? Well, you can try 5 Oriental, but there's no parking there. And there's going to be a 90-place childcare centre instead. So,
All right, so Councillor Barlow is moving an amendment to remove 18 Kinsale Grove, 1B
Kinsale
Short
Grove.
Street and 22 Warialda Street, so those being both of the preferred nominated spots in Ward 4 and one of the additional
Well,
site
it's-
consideration.
I'm not doing it to be... I'm just doing it for practicality.
Understand, I'm trying to make it clear to all the councillors around the room. So we have an amendment in the name of Councillor Barlow. Do we have a seconder?
Kinsale.
Sorry, we have Councillor Morrissey has seconded it. Councillors, all those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. The motion is amended. Councillors, all those in favour? So this is the motion as put without those 3 locations going out for consultation. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Item CP 25.035, tender report sports lighting installation. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Sports lighting installation. You pulled this one out, Councillor Barlow. Councillor Naji, sorry, I think. CP 25.035. Yeah. So moved, Councillor Douglas. Sorry, do I have a seconder? Were you moving it though? Were you moving it, Councillor Naji? Moved, Councillor Naji. Seconded, Councillor Douglas. Councillor Naji.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. But if you'd like, you can have Councillor Douglas moving it and I'll second.
No. I thought you were waiting because you wanted to speak, as you did with the previous one. I didn't know you were moving it.
Look, I don't have an issue. I mean, it is a must to make sure that Tanner Reserve and Scarborough Park has the right lighting for those parks, because it's definitely in need. But I've just got a few questions. Scarborough Park Central, which is the Cobra Warrata, they've been really asking council, even the previous councillors,
Yeah.
the past councillors, that they're in
I
desperate
remember doing
need
that.
for it. I also believe that Energy Australia, or Ausgrid, I should say, did they upgrade the power supply over there? Sorry.
Yeah, so I think for the background of councillors, we have budgeted money for Scarborough Central as well, but I understand we were
I
waiting.
just want to make sure that if this just goes through the way it is, will it have a big impact
On Scarborough Central. No. It's independent of it, and Scarborough Central is moving slower because, as you mentioned, there are power issues there.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that Scarborough Central is not affected.
No, correct. Councillors, any further discussion? All right. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. The next item being CP 25.038, Council Expenses and Facilities Policy. I'll be abstaining myself for the item.
Oh, you've got to leave.
Can we have a mover and a seconder for
I'm the
this item?
mover.
Councillor Barlow. Councillor Boudoulet, thank you.
I'm just moving it with the removal of what was added at the committee meeting, which was reference that council will provide limited research support to councillors. I'd like to have that removed because I believe that we have a fantastic system, and I really feel that the new councillors that are very engaged, maybe there should have been a process when they started what the difference, the notice of motion is, how to look at things. We have councillor support girl, she is fantastic. You've got to look up. I did get it through that all your names are listed now with all your questions that come back. So that's why I'm saying I don't know why anyone would need research. If anyone, it would be me, who doesn't have a degree of any sort. I've never had a computer. I came here in '95 with nothing in front of you, no telephone, no fax. No, all you got at home was a fax machine. That was it. No computer. Computers came in the second term. So there's a lot of things here that everyone in this room is very skillful on the computer skills. I'm getting there slowly. But I feel that I don't think that's necessary to even have that put into the system. I feel we just need to, I feel that people that are lost, I help, I'll answer most people anything, but if you don't ask the questions, you don't get it. You've all got a senior person in your party, so except for the Green, sorry, you're a lone person, but like me. But there's always a senior person you can always ask that's been here, is experienced, or you can put everything in writing, then you've got your answer. And if you've got someone that wants to research, are you going to tell them, well, I want you to research this, they've done it wrong? Are you going to say, well, I don't want that, I want something else? So I believe the system we have is very good. I feel the notices of motion are being misused, but it needs maybe there needs to be a training session on what should be a notice of motion. We shouldn't have, we had 21 time, and I know the councils are new and they're engaged, that's great, but you need to sort out what you're supposed to be doing, and I don't think having a research support is the right way to go. You can ask, we've got our system with our council support. She is the person your first port of call. She answers you or sends it off to the right person. You get the answer. I feel the answer should come back as an email, not into the system, because you can't, except you've got, I don't know if you realise, you've got your name with every request you've got against your name. So you can find them quickly. Before, you couldn't find anything. We've sorted that out. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel we should stay the same, and you should be, trying to work out, well, you should be able to do it. And if you have the computer skills that most of you in this room would have.
Councillor Sarafinovsky.
Just a quick question, maybe through the GM or the director. In the policy, it mentioned incidental items that were added in regards to the ability to become a member of a fitness passport. Does that mean the councillors can share the same fitness passport as the council staff?
Through the chair, Fitness Passport is a subscription service. So what it will allow is that we can take the value of that subscription service from your councillor allowance if you want to join. And you would have the same privileges, the same rights as a staff member who is a member of Fitness Passport.
Just a follow-up question to that. What do you get in the fitness passport?
Well,
for you.
So it's a New South Wales-wide network of gyms, pool, like aquatic centres, a range of like recreation and leisure centres that are members of Fitness Passport. So for your weekly fee that you pay, either a single or a family rate, you can go to any one of those centres that is a member of Fitness Passport.
Councillor Broderhoff, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Barlow, yes, you know, there's different, you know, people are different, experiencing things differently. You obviously have a long history of being on council, and you have that history and acknowledged in your brain and in your in your archives. As new councillor and as not senior councillor, we don't have that, and there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of information that is often informal, that is hard to find because I don't know the jungle that is there. I acknowledge I have council support. We can get council support, we get an answer, but sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it's not deep enough that I would like to prepare a motion. So I don't think that it should be a problem to ask for a little bit more desktop research. I'm not asking the council, or I wouldn't ask the council to write me a thesis or an essay. Well, I can do that. But we are also, me and there's other councillors here, new councillors, that have full-time jobs, that have children, and that cannot spend days on end to researching something in order to make the motions as, you know, succinct as we like and as powerful. So I don't think this should be removed.
Could I just suggest we throw to the General Manager for some information about the parameters of the research that could be provided?
Through the Chair, obviously this is something that we would want to see how it goes because we haven't articulated it in quite that way previously. The way it would work at the moment is that our Councillor Support Officer would be charged with going to the right part of the organisation to get a succinct response and return it to the councillor inquiring. Normally, we would expect a director or a manager or myself to have oversight of that because, as you say, our organisation is complex. We run so many services, there's so much history that being able to give you that piece of information is really important. For me, the benefit of this is that rather than councillors writing their motions in isolation, it opens up a dialogue. It allows you to come and ask the staff who are knowledgeable and who are here to support you to put an idea to them, to ask them about the best way of expressing what you want to achieve. And that's part of our role, is to help you actually put those motions forward. And if it's not a motion, how else you might go about achieving what you want to achieve. So I think we need a bit of fine tuning, and we'll see how we go, and hopefully it will fulfil what each of you needs.
Is there any further debate on this matter? Councillor Naji.
Believe it or not, I'm a bit confused. But thank you, Councillor Barlow, for pulling this out, because later on I've got a question about the mayoral colour. But when you say limited research, how do you define limited and what's research? So as a councillor, can I contact the staff and get them to research in the past what's happened in council? Because I can easily do it. I'm just confused about limited research. So what is limited? How do you define limited, and how far do you go with limited? Otherwise, I'm just worried that the staff will get bombarded with a lot of things to do that ourselves could have done it. And I respect Councillor Broderhoff about she's got a job, a full-time job, she's busy, but we all are. When you run for council, you know that the commitments and the jobs that you have and everything that you have, and you need to deal with it. And I think most of us do that. I've never seen Councillor Curry saying, well, about a notice of motion. Even in her first term, I remember, and she was capable. She didn't ask the staff to go and research a lot. And if there was any research, she would do it. And I could say with Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Bezic, and Councillor Barlow and Councillor Wada, but I just need to find out, what do you mean by limited research? I don't understand that. Limited research.
Yeah. So from the staff perspective, through the chair, that's actually being able to point councillors to the resources that we have at hand that will be able to assist them in their inquiry. So whether that's pointing them to earlier reports, presentations, questions that have been asked previously, those sorts of things that we have available to us, it would be helping them to navigate and find those things.
Thank you, and sorry to put you on the spot because I love doing that in a good way. But a councillor can find this, can't they? Do their own research and find it without adding any workload on the staff. The answer is simple, yes or no. Does it affect adding pressure or workload on the staff? Yes or no? I know you're diplomatic with your answers. I love you for it, but...
I think that staff who work full-time within their technical and professional areas can very quickly often get to the heart of an issue, which a councillor who is by their very nature part-time, it's more difficult for them to be able to do that. Yes, we have councillors who've been here for decades and who have that personal history, but often, you know, a councillor will ask a question and you can just put your hand on it. You just know where it is because that's our bread and butter. That's what we do all day, every day. So you can actually save a lot of time by being able to assist in that way.
And I think it's important to remember that we also have considerations coming up around limiting the number of notice of motions as a response to a lot of overwhelm at the staff. At the other end, which is when they get asked to do a lot of additional work that maybe wasn't taken through those research. So I think this is actually, in light of that, it's trying to actually give staff less work overall. Is there any further discussion?
Not on that one, but just about the mural, I don't know if Councillor Barlow, if you haven't finished, I'm sure you can come up. Just want to understand, and I understand the... That's my name, Mike. No. Okay, and I do respect that in lieu of taking up the mayoralty vehicle, you save $12,000. There's no problem there. But just that 3,000, maybe I didn't understand that right, but that 3,000 per annum, is that giving as a mayoral allowance or as reimbursement?
Through the chair, that's actual cost reimbursement.
Okay, that's good. No further question, if that's the case.
Okay, so are we happy to move to a vote? Did you want any right of reply?
I haven't done a right of reply yet.
I'm just asking.
Seeing I got called, you know, I've been here decades. I have been here decades. And I have I'm very lucky with my memory, and I'm very lucky that I don't throw things out very often. I am doing that at the moment.
Councillor Barlow.
I'm going to bring a lot of stuff here to shred, and it's all about the Sands restaurant. It's about that much, all confidential. Maybe I should be lending it to other people in the room so they can get up to date. But, you know, I've looked at some of the notices of motion that have been put there, and there is no way you needed any research. You had all the links of where you could go in with all the blue writing. I tried to put something up about Vietnam Veterans Day, and I want to put up the song "I'm Only 19." Could I do it? No. I put it up there because that was sort of the anthem for anyone that my brother was an ASHO. So, and I tried to put that up. So I don't even have that skill to put something in the computer. I don't. It's me. I'm the way I am. But I just feel that I'm concerned that there's 14 councils here that will, not all of them, but that it might overwhelm the staff, and there has to be some sort of trigger to stop, because I know at one stage we could talk to people below director level. We now can't do that because there was over-enthusiastic, I think I'll call it, councillors. So I feel that, to me, with the skill set of everyone mashably around this chamber, that it worries me that they think that they need that support. The council support person does actually give you those answers. I just feel the answer should come back directly as an email like Colin Clissold does. He's the only one that gives you a direct reply, otherwise you've got to go through the system. But it's all under your name now, so that's one thing. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel that we shouldn't even, to me, it opens up a can of worms of maybe overloading our staff that work really, really hard as it is now.
All right, so I think we're going to move to a vote now, and just to be clear, what we're voting on is the amended version with the research taken out. So we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's nay. Okay, declare that carried. So we're taking that research out. Yep. Okay. All right. Sorry?
You've moved the amendment, you haven't moved the motion.
No, that is the motion.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Okay, so we can get the mayor
It was
back
moved
in.
as a motion.
Yeah.
Yes, the mayor can come back in. It won't make much difference on Monday, whether it's in or not. People will ask questions and we'll answer them.
No one knew what it was about anyway.
So, we'll do exactly the same, by the way.
You're going to research it. You're going to research it out.
Conflicted out.
To be as helpful as we can be.
Thank you, councillors. Item BTC 25.150, Riverside Drive, Sans Souci, proposed raised pedestrian crossing. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Douglas. Seconded Councillor Naji. Councillor Douglas.
I just pulled this out because it is really disappointing for the residents who are advocating for a safer crossing, especially this Riverside Drive is a very popular beachside area, and in summer there is a large stretch where there is no safe crossing. So I went back and spoke to the residents about it, and they asked if we could instead so the background, if you haven't read the background, is that this was a street or like a wombat crossing that was proposed. It was accepted by council, but then when it went through the traffic committee, they found that they couldn't give the lighting that was required now by Ausgrid above a pedestrian crossing, and so therefore the crossing got canned. So there's still ongoing concerns though by the residents about the speed of how fast drivers drive down that street at 60, 70 kilometres, and there being no safe crossing. So my question through the chair is whether or not this could be taken back to the traffic committee with the research to find out if a low-rise speed hump is able to be investigated for that street as a traffic calming device in lieu of the pedestrian crossing.
Perhaps we could, I think, to the forum now, in the brave new world. But maybe if we say, rather than proposing a solution, just say, are there any alternative traffic calming measures that could be put forward, given the constraints?
Yeah, thank you.
Right, councillors, any further discussion?
No, it's just on the traffic, I'm sorry, but it was fascinating that they couldn't do it because they couldn't put a pole safe enough into the ground, so there was no way, and they had to have that light. It was amazing. We could not believe, and he said, no, we cannot do it on the beach side at all. So anything else, and it just refer it back, and Councillors Kassim and I are on the committee. We all make that commitment to asked for, and there could have been there could be data there anyway, so.
All right, councillors, any further discussion? All right, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Noting that it's nearly 10 p.m, we're moving to notices of motion now. Perhaps where there are these referrals back, we can consider the paired motions in cognate. So items 13.1 and 13.2, the General Manager's response to Sir Joseph Bank Parks Botany, as well as the original notice of motion. Moved Councillor Morrissey, seconded moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Curry.
Yeah, look, thank you for having a look at that. Just councillors, just with the works that are there and while we're looking for funding, this new area will contain a pump track which is funded. It will this is for a potential basketball court. And I just want to mention I've since had feedback that the Youth Advisory Committee have provided some feedback. So I want to leave that basketball court one a little bit loose to say that it's a basketball court / netball court in whatever the youth feel is most appropriate. So because it's up to them what they would like. And then we've also got the dog off-leash park there. And then we're going to have a bush tucker garden there as well. So with all those things happening there is the closest amenity block is a long walk off. So can I just suggest, as we're doing almost a little bit of a design of that area, if councillors are open, that we just include in the design a potential amenity block to be considered in the future, just so we put the basketball court and the tucker garden and the palm track in the right spots now with consideration for a potential future amenity block, that's all. So I've sent through Ms Toller, I think I've sent through a number 4. Can just be a number 4. Yeah. Yep. So if councillors are comfortable with that, just to get it right the first time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, councillors. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Items 13.3 and 13.4, notice of motion recognising First Nations history in our first contract LGA. Move Councillor Kassim. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Douglas. Councillor Kassim.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I have spoken a little bit earlier, so I'll just briefly say if we could add to the motion under 2, so it says, subject to the endorsement of this initiative by the First Nations community, identify potential locations in consultation with the RAP working group that are suitable for appropriate protection. In time for consideration for the 2026-27 budget process. Thank you.
Councillor Curry.
Can I just ask, I want to also acknowledge the work of the RAP, and I just want to be conscious that the RAP advisory group, they don't get paid. And so I just want to be conscious that what we're asking, you know, the additional work we're asking for, that we're just cognisant of the time, and maybe the staff do the groundwork and it's more just a quicker decision making. Maybe I could ask the General Manager, would you be happy to comment on that, just around the time of the RAP? They give their time for free. Are they managing that okay, or are we expecting too much?
General Manager.
Thank you. I think certainly for the members of the RAP who are staff members, that falls within their responsibilities and duties and within staff time. For those that are not staff members, I think we need to occasionally test to see that we aren't stretching them too far. They have been very generous with their time to date. So in this instance, I think it can't be a conversation about hundreds of potential memorials It's going to have to be, I think, more of an exercise of them coming forward with a few that they would see as the real priorities. But we'll adjust the conversation so that it works for them as well.
Just another question to the General Manager. So I supported this motion originally, and I still do in principle. It's just that I saw the cost was up to $5 million. How will we be funding that, or would it be less than that?
Through the chair. So the reason for the report is to take the notice of motion as it was written and to literally translate that into dollars. What we've actually, I think, suggested in here is that you will prioritise in talking to those expert groups. There is no way council could fund to do this. It would be a long-term staging, and not all of the memorials would be appropriate anyway. They don't have a connection with First Nations people. So it'll come down to something, and we'll come back to you with, once they're prioritised, we'll come back to you with better financial information.
I think we'd expect a small number of sites to come back before the next financial year rather than 170 sites. Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor
Yes. Can I just ask, what will it take for us to pay those people that are in the RAP group?
I think the General Manager...
Sorry, that's not moved by myself.
No, we've got the wrong movers and seconds.
That's wonderful.
That was Councillors Kassim and Douglas, I think, yeah.
I do think that, you know...
Sorry, General Manager, can you comment on that?
Could I suggest that we take that offline and we can come back to you and have that discussion? For today's purposes, we haven't given that really proper consideration. This has been focused purely on the memorials work. So I'd like to have a bit of a think about that and do some comparisons with other councils before I give an answer.
So what are we moving in here? Audit all monuments?
So the quote-unquote... So we've now...
We've done that.
That work was done as part of the preparation of the previous report. They've identified all these potential monuments. And what's being asked in substance is that the RAP consider whether some of those might be appropriate for interpretive signage prior to next year's budget process. Councillors, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Items 13.5 and 13.6, proposal for a pedestrian bicycle path under the Walleye Creek Bridge. Mover and a seconder. Moved Councillor Strong, seconded Councillor Boudeleau.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the staff on such a detailed report so quickly on this. It received quite a bit of sort of public support, and the idea of expanding those local transport networks under the bridge. It's a huge project, like 10 mil, I'm hearing. There's a lot of issues with flooding, but I really think it's got wings into the future, if possible, to really, like, the Princes Highway is such a barrier, you know, and before we do think about building a pedestrian thing over the highway at Woolworths, this would be a good sort of intermediate thing to sort of link up those two wonderful parks. I know the Cooks River Alliance, they think it's a great thing, so I do hope that Council see it as something to investigate further.
And I think, just to be clear, the effect of this, passing these motions as is, would note that there's no current funding source for these, and that would, I think, as per the motion, it would cost us somewhere in the order of $2 million just to do further due diligence work on this. So this would be subject to any future available funding opportunities for this, I think. Councillors, any further discussion?
I just want to speak in support of this motion. I mean, I think reading the report, it's obviously a very hard thing to do, but sometimes it's the hard things that need to be done. And creating connectivity between our green spaces and creating safe walking and cycling spaces are really important to future-proofing our city. I've been involved with the e-bike trial in the Walleye Creek community, and what that trial has found is that by giving parents access to e-bikes, long-tailed e-bikes, where they can put their kids on the back, they replace 100% of their trips to the local primary school with the e-bike. So that trial has removed 70 cars from the streets through traffic congestion in those early mornings and peak times for pickup. That is great for our streets. It's great for parking. It frees up parking. It's good for health and well-being. And the number one bit of feedback we got from that trial was that the thing that inhibits people the most from cycling is their feeling of not being safe, because people, especially women, like to ride on separated bike paths. They don't want to ride on the busy street. And I was recently riding around the back streets of Wallay Creek to go and visit a friend in Torella, and I feel fairly confident on a bike. I've always ridden a bike. But, you know, you're still navigating on the street a lot of the time. So when we are imagining our future cities and creating that connectivity, maybe we do have to do the difficult things by doing things like these big audacious projects that connect up a high-rise area with the vast, amazing green space and cycle network that already exists on our doorstep.
Thank you. Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Boudeleau.
Just a question while the General Manager's maybe away. We did write to the State Government in December last year. I was just wondering whether we did receive an answer to that letter about an overhead pass over the highway, and if we haven't had a response, whether we could follow up.
No, I don't think we've received a response to date, but the staff, I'm sure, can check that. Councillors, any further discussion? Councillors, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.7, litter and illegal dumping in the Bayside LGA. Move Councillor Boudeleau. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudeleau.
Just for a show of mercy, I'll be very quick. This is essentially about, I believe there was a Southern Sydney rapid illegal dumping task force which was set up in this area. I believe there are a lot of other regions in Sydney that also have that. This motion is about writing to the government to seek to establish it. If you look at stats, there was a huge reduction during that time when we had this task force, about 20% in reduction. So that if you look at the motion itself, it's obviously noting the negative impacts of illegal dumping. I think we can all agree on that. Council's working towards a waste strategy which is coming to Council this year, which is obviously good. And this again is to write to the State Government to say we need this. And there was a huge reduction at the time when this was up, but I might also seek some advice. I know there's some SS Rock people here as well, and if you had a view on this particular motion as well, that would be good to hear. Thank you.
Councillor Boudeleau, further discussion. Councillor Curry.
I don't know whether you or Ms Moroney can speak to that previous, and whether it was effective. I don't recall.
Manager.
I can just very briefly say, yes, it was extremely effective. It was partially funded. It had some underpinning funding from the State Government at the time. When that funding was exhausted, SS Rock determined not to continue to fully fund it. So certainly lobbying and asking for the return of some support to reinstate the RIDs. It was really effective in identifying hotspots, monitoring hotspots, getting there really quickly and identifying dumpers. And if we could get that back, I think it would be a positive thing.
Thanks. Councillor Curry.
I'm just wondering then if maybe we should consider this, reword it as a motion to Local Government New South Wales. Would that be an appropriate platform to advocate for that, do you think, General Manager? Certainly. Yeah, what do you think?
Add that as
What are people's thoughts? And we'll just do like we did, if you can sort of staff work one up, that would be appropriate, and we can run it back through us. Thank you.
We can add that as point 5. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.8, parking conditions in Mascot area. Move Councillor Kassim. Do I have a seconder? Second, Councillor Boudeleau. Councillor Kassim.
Thank you very much. I'll just speak quickly to this. Thank you to the General Manager for reminding us about the master plan, which I was aware of at the time. I guess my concern is just about the timing for how long it takes to do everything with the master plan. I think it would be a good idea to consult about these parking arrangements at the same time as consulting about the master plan, but potentially to implement some of them before. The notes there about obviously each separate local area having a separate need is well taken, but the full area that I've nominated, I think everyone there does need to be consulted because all of those areas are affected by the conditions which I've noted there.
Councillor Kassim, any further discussion? Councillor Curry?
Yeah, just having been through a number of these, particularly in grids around Mascot many, many years ago, and I take your point, and I understand and acknowledge that there are major traffic considerations there. I guess what comes to mind firstly is I don't want to confuse the planning with parking because people will get fixated separately, but I think there is an opportunity for council to do grid consultations, so which they've done before around Flora and those streets, Mr. Barber will recall. So it's much easier to sort of go, all right, these are the grids, what are our priority grids, and then to consult the streets within that grid stage by stage, and based on feedback from residents, you could work with council, we could, to determine the priority areas, but a blanket thing, you're just going to get all sorts of feedback, and we learnt in the past that there's a lot of issues when you're bringing in residential parking schemes and limits and that, because people don't understand that if they have off-street parking, they don't get to park out the front anymore because most of them will not meet the requirements for a parking permit. So it actually can create chaos in the more residential streets, and the backlash is huge. I know because we've done it. So I think we have to do it. Your intent is good and I support it in principle, but we have to be strategic in how we do it, because you'll get people that will want it and you'll get other people that won't understand it and won't understand they can't park out the front anymore, and you'll get people that hate it. So that would be my suggestion, an amendment to just sort of say that council in the first instance considers the grids and then prioritises the grids in line with the, how it might play out with the master plan and the timing, if you're open to that.
Councillor Kassim?
Yeah, thank you. Look, I am open to that, just noting that I think as soon as you consult on this grid, the ones next door will say, what about me? And it's going to affect me. So that in the sort of the scheduling, that we pay attention to the fact that, as I say, contiguous areas say, oh, well, you're just passing on the problem to me now. Everyone's going to park in my street, because that's what people will say. So we need to pay attention to that scheduling. Yeah.
And look, I think it's probably worth asking, if we can ask through the Mayor, Mr. Barber, because you've got a lot of experience in this, what would be your recommendation around the best approach?
Through your chair, I think trying to identify areas that may have similar issues would be the best way to go. Otherwise, you're likely to get people in different areas raising the concerns that are local to them that might not apply to others. And there's over 2,000 dwellings in that area, so you're going to get a variety of opinions there, which might be hard to actually bring to any conclusion in the end. Some of them have clearways, some of them have parking schemes, some of them have time limits, some of them don't. So I think the suggestion there of trying to identify areas that are contiguous and might have the same sort of characteristics is probably going to give you more meaningful feedback that you can act on.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Councillor Curry?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Barber. Perhaps maybe if a report comes to committee with council's recommendations on how best to approach this, and that way council has time to consider it, and then, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Perhaps a plan for this can come to the next committee. I'm sure Mr Barber can give effect to that. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.11, Lena Lane, Sans Souci, moved Councillor Douglas. I have a seconder. Seconded Councillor Curry. Councillor Douglas.
So I was very surprised to find out that we have our very own four-wheel drive track in Bayside, which is at the back of houses at Sans Souci. And they've been trying to fix it themselves with putting their own AstroTurf down, because this laneway is their only access to off-street parking. They don't have any off-street parking at the front on Vanstone Parade, and they have limited parking as well on the Vanstone Parade car park because of the traffic restrictions, parking restrictions to deal with hoons. So this is a very simple, very local motion that basically asks for the council to consider if we have any funds available in the quarterly budget review that we expedite, we bring forward the resurfacing or the surfacing of Lena Lane to make this a really proper amenity for the residents that live there, so they don't have to wear their gumboots and trek through mud to get to and from their cars every day.
Thank you. Councillors, any further discussion?
Sorry,
Councillor Barlow.
First of all, is it our road or is it a private road? Because there's a sign outside that says private road, private driveways, private road. So, and then and when I looked up Google, whatever you look up, Lena Lane doesn't exist at all. You can't find it in the little map. I went and got my old street directory, which is large print now, and there's a little, no, I think not in my street directory, but in my original map I got many years ago, there's a opening there, but number 5 has built over the lane. So I just want to know, are we spending money on a private road, or is it private or is it not private? The person that I think is the lobbyist of this is the one that wanted to get rid of the parking outside the front of her house.
I think the director has an answer to the question.
Through your chair, it is a council road owned by council.
Council road?
Yep. It is a public road, yep.
It is a public road, okay. Well, could you then, maybe you need to investigate if number 5, I think it's 5, they have built over the public road. They have built to the fence of Clearville Avenue. I don't know, and when I looked at the map, there was that little line saying it went up to that line, but now there's a building on there. I think they did in the last 2 years. So before this is decided, I think there's a little bit of... We need to find out exactly what has happened. And if you look it up, you can't find Lena Lane. So
I'm sure while they're considering this work that Mr Barber will survey the road.
And also, I mean, and the thing is, we can't afford, I mean, how much is it going to cost? You've got no idea of the cost, because the way you're talking, you want drainage. Because if you do the road and it's wrong, you'll flood their garages. It's not as, well, I didn't think it was as muddy, but it was grass. I thought it was real grass. But my issue is, one, the sign has to go down. It is not a private road. That is sitting on the telegraph pole outside in red and white. And, well, we've got to find out exactly how much of the road we own and what it belongs, who it belongs to, because it could be halfway. And they say there's 10 houses. None of the Clearville Road Avenue ones can really get into there. Their entrances are on Clearville Avenue. But that is all I'm saying. You need to find out exactly what we own and what could have been built over our land.
Yeah, I think the general manager, I'm sure I can show councils afterwards, that sign very obviously is made by hand. I don't think it looks like it's a council sign. I don't think that's fooling anyone. I'm sure Mr Barber will do appropriate due diligence, and I just note that I think there's already works budgeted for in the next financial year. This would simply be looking at any potential options to bring those forward, not proposing additional funds. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.12, Customer Experience Dashboard. Moved Councillor Boudelaye. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Naji. Councillor Boudelaye.
So this is not establishing a new dashboard. I believe there already is a dashboard. This motion is responding to probably a very unfair assumption from some in the public that things aren't actioned, potholes aren't filled, illegal dumping sites aren't sorted out. So this is really about creating a feedback loop back to the community. I'm assuming this data is hopefully already collected and probably foreshadowing Councillor Barlow. Hopefully it doesn't, and the intent is not to place extra effort on the staff. But I think if we could report this quarterly and then report back to the community that yes, there were 100 potholes reported this year and of those 90 were filled, I think that's a good way to feed back to the community who are putting in these requests that these things are actually being sorted. And so in terms of which things we would capture in terms of potholes, legal dumping, graffiti, those are just examples. That's not an exhaustive list. I don't think the list needs to be very long. It should not be long. But again, this is a feedback loop back to the community that we're actually taking action on their requests.
Thank you, Councillor Boudelaye. Any further discussion? Councillor Naji.
Thank you. What a cleverly put, Councillor Boudelaye. The intention, of course, is to keep the community informed, but it will also, for the whole of the LGA, will keep councillors informed as well. So every councillor in his ward would know what really is going on and how many potholes were fixed and so on and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, no further discussion. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.15, improved safety measures for Knight Street, Arncliffe. Moved Councillor Naji. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Saravinovsky. Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be as brief as possible. I rise to speak on the importance of incorporating critical safety measures along Knight Street, Arncliffe, specifically at the intersection of Withers Street. This is a local road and has a long posed risk to both residents and pedestrians. Visibility is poor, traffic movement can be unpredictable, and without clearer guidance on the road, residents and road users alike are exposed to unnecessary danger. The measures I'm putting forward are simple, practical, and cost-effective. 1, double lines to provide clarity to enforce safe driving behaviour, preventing dangerous overtaking or careless manoeuvres. And we're talking about a stretch. If no one knows, Knight Street and the corner of Withers is not a big stretch. It's only a very small stretch. But if you visit on site and have a look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Number 2, curbside line marking to better delineate lanes to ensure vehicles remain in safe positions on the road and assist drivers navigating this difficult stretch. Number 3, road mirrors. I'm only proposing for 1 mirror to improve visibility around blind spots and give drivers confidence when turning or merging. None of these are complex or extravagant works, but together they will make a meaningful difference to the day-to-day safety of Knight Street. They are preventative measures designed to reduce risk before it turns into another accident statistics. This is about listening to residents, and believe you me, I've had few residents contact me about this issue, acknowledging their concerns and taking straightforward actions to address them. Community members deserve to feel safe driving through their own neighbourhood, and Council has both the capacity and the responsibility to deliver on that expectation. I strongly commend this motion to Council and urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion?
Sorry, I'm talking too much.
Barlow.
It's just road mirrors. I think you'll find that they're not... put road mirrors if permissible, because I don't think traffic committees, no one likes them at all. They don't like using them.
Traffic forum won't like it, but
they get
just to note that the matter will be is required to be referred to the traffic forum for technical
and
advice,
then
and then we'll come back to council.
Thank you.
Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Councillors, any questions with notice? No. There being no further items, I declare the meeting closed at 10:23 p.m. Everyone should.
But still not bad.